I don't got no friends. I don't got no friends. You know what I mean? I got supporters, people on my side and people on the other side.
Welcome to the shift where the whole room glows. EMG vibes got the city on go. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' grow. This is black, I'm with you, let the whole world know. Paradigm light, yeah, we shine just right. Respect your view, even if we don't align right. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. EMG family, we elevate the mind right. This that channel that be talking back, energy attack. Iron sharp as iron, watch the whole league react. Competition in the building, better tighten up your facts. We ain't clones, but we still mirror how you crack under impact. Every debate will work out, spot a week, rap fast. You live wrong, paradigm shift, and break your stance. I'm the judge, the jury, the pen, the contrast. My bars hit always like a quadruple, bottom to the shift, where the whole room glow. EMG vibes got the city on go. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' grow. If you black, I'm with you, let the whole world know. Paradigm light, yeah, we shine just right. Respect your view, even if we don't all align right. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. EMG family, we elevate the mind right. We invite every mind, long as you stand on yours. Walking with respect, leave with open doors. Channel stay lit, views jumping off the boards. STL bounce, yeah, the spot from the source. Competitors, welcome, step up, don't fold. We don't fear pressure, we refine under load. Thoughts heavy, we press them till the truth get told. Shit so clean, if the platinum even willing to go. Come through correct, bring your logic and your proof. Speak your truth, just don't run from the truth. We debate with grace, that's the paradigm groove. Flow so smooth, even turbulence move. Welcome to the shift where the whole room go. EMG vibes got the city on go. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' grow. If you black, I'm with you, let the whole world know. Paradigm light, yeah, we shine just right. Respect your view, even if we don't align right. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. EMG family, we elevate the mind right. Where the home glow. DMG vibes got the city on go. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' go. If you black, I'm with you, let the whole world know. Paradigm light, yeah, we shine just right. Respect your view, even if we don't align right. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. DMG family, we elevate the mind right. Welcome to the shift. DMG vibes got the city on go. Welcome to the shift. Stand on what you know, every mind gon' grow. Welcome to the shift. If you black, I'm with you, black, I'm with you. Welcome to the shift. We can disagree and still keep the love tight. Welcome to the shift. EMG family, we elevate the mind right. Welcome to the shift. EMG vibe got the city on low. Walk with paradigm shift, keep it real for.
Y'all know I say that greeting for one reason and one reason only. It's because if you black, I'm with you. And I hope that you with me.
The Paradigm Shift TV 314. This is your brother, the infamous DMG. We back with another powerful show with an even more powerful guest. Before we get into our spiel, y'all know I got to do my spiel. Let me say God bless to all my Christian brothers and sisters. Hotep to all my Kemetic brothers and sisters. Shalom to all my Israelite brothers and sisters. Assalamu alaikum to all my brothers and sisters in the NOI in Islam, period. Let me say Islam to all my Moorish brothers and sisters. Peace to all my brothers and sisters in the nation of gods and earth, them 5%ers. Let me say what's up to all my atheist brothers and sisters. Salute to all my Abo brothers and sisters. bless up to all my roster brothers and sisters. Last and certainly not least, I want to say jumbo to all the rest of my brothers and sisters all throughout the African diaspora, be it here in the wilderness of the United States of America or beyond. Y'all know I say that greeting for one reason and one reason only. It's because if you're Black, I'm with you, and I hope that you with me. Our different ideologies should not keep us from uniting. We can have unity without uniformity. Last and certainly not least, we can disagree without being disrespectfully disagreeable. With that said, my esteemed guest, please reintroduce yourself to the Paradigm Shift TV 314 audience.
Yeah, no doubt. Giving all praises to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to Yeshua, and to our ancestors, those who taught us out to walk out the Torah circumspectly. Shout out to DMG and this platform. Shout out to Paradigm Shift TV. Listen, man, we're here, man. Shout out to the New Torah Movement channel. Shout out to the Black Saga Clan channel as well. We're here to sort of give a critical analysis on, does the Bible condone rape? Every so few months or so now, I hear this topic come up. Somebody outside of this community asked me to actually go into this topic for them. And so I decided I've, been asked to debate it multiple times, never seems to pan out properly. But I will actually do sort of a critical analysis and breakdown for those of you who are not familiar with the argument, for those of you who just need a point of reference, or whether you agree or disagree respectfully. This is probably is going to be the most critical breakdown you probably see on this particular topic in this space. Again, so I want to get right to it. I probably should be doing this, as I said to my good brother DMG, probably going to be doing this probably in a series. I probably need to do it that way. But I just want to get to the meat of it and just show you what the actual consensus is on the topic. I think that's important, as well as to show the actual breakdown of the actual scriptures in regards to the topic, and just go over a few things, man, so people can get a clear understanding of this topic. If you're heavy into apologetics, I think this would be good for you as well. If not, just for your own personal understanding and reasoning and witnessing, whatever it is, I think this would be helpful for you as well. So this is the reason why I'm putting this information out here, man. So no doubt. You muted, DMG.
My bad. Let me know when you're ready to share your screen, bro.
Yep. We're getting into it, man. I'm not gonna be before y'all long, man. Just in case.
Yeah, and why do you think so many people try to bring this up as sort of a gotcha moment? Because for me, I feel like even with what the things that they say, it's like, do you forget the time frame in which this was written, and that things were handled? Things were handled in a particular way in the ancient world. When we see things like the rape of Tamar, we see how Absalom is one of my favorite characters in the Bible. And we see how he dealt with that situation. And so I just don't get the attempt at a polemic against the Bible using this as a tactic. But that's,
Yeah, absolutely, man. And you bring up a great point. And the reason why it's using, I'm going to show that what the actual consensus of scholars actually say about that particular point, that it is simply a feminist argument that argues against patriarchy, because it's their understanding that the scripture is makes a patriarchal stance, right? It is a misogynistic argument to support a feminist aspect of these particular stories and occurrences that we see in the scripture. So what they do is they convolute it, right? And they lie about it. And I'm going to show you exactly what they do, right? And how they try to use this. And I'm going to show you the logical fallacies that they
Okay.
use in order to try to support that argument, right? And how it actually fails, right? And so that's the reason I'm really glad you brought that point out, because that's the reason this study is important, right? Because it does take some bit of study. If you're not familiar with how with the ancient Near Eastern culture that you talked about, how these things worked in ancient Israelite culture, right? If you're not familiar with that concept, it's easy to fall for the logical fallacies that they present, and it's a feminist argument, no more, no less. We're going to prove that and show that tonight, right? And I'm not going to be before you long. Feel free, man, to jump in, man. Ask any questions, man, because reading. I know one thing about our people. We can read so much, man. After a while, they start to tune you out because they're not they're not really used to sitting and reading, and sometimes they're just so busy they can't do it.
Right.
So just break
Right.
up the monotony, bro. So
Right.
yeah, because it's informational. So I'm ready, man, when you are.
No doubt. I'm gonna make it full screen.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm gonna make it full screen and let you do your thing.
All right, let's get it, man. Man, so again, this is a critical study, right? On the topic, does the Bible condone rape, right? And it's interesting that we even in social media have to relegate the term here, right? We have to use this euphemism. We have to use it so that people won't be offended by it or take offense to it, right? Because it is a sensitive topic, right? And usually, what happens is that the feminist argument is simply because if you haven't experienced that or gone through that, then how is it that you're allowed to speak on it? And that's usually the fallacy, right? One of the fallacies that we have in these particular types of arguments, right? Is gaslighting at its finest, right? And so what we need to do is just look at it critically, right? And what the text says and what the major scholars say that are actually doing the study with these particular stances and stories that we see in scenarios that we see in the biblical narrative concerning grape. So let me start out, right? So let me start here by first, right? Um, in this segment here, RAINS, RAINNS, RAINS National Sexual Assault is a 24/7 hotline, 24 hours, 7 days a week hotline. Uh, this critical study is not to diminish or demoralize or take away from the fact that rape is a tragic occurrence. It should not be something that is acceptable in our culture, in any culture, right? It's something that we need to beef up more because women are more susceptible to sexual assault than men are, although men are being sexually assaulted as well, right? But on the grand scale, overall victims of sexual assault are women, right? And so if there's anybody who's experiencing that, right? This is a national organization that I vetted myself and I've even donated to. Uh, these it's the RAINS National Sexual Assault hotline. There is available 24/7. The number is 1-800 656 HOPE or 4673. You can chat with them online as well, or you can text, right? Text hope to 64673 and people will respond to you, experts, counselors who will respond to you and who are able to walk you through, or someone you know who's experiencing it. They deal with teenagers all the way up to adult women, uh, and they actually take male calls too, right? Sometimes it's difficult for men who've been sexually assaulted or young boys who've been sexually assaulted to be able to actually express that to people that are around them because there's a stigma that goes with it. So they take calls from men as well. Right. So here's one of their statistics. 81% of women reported experience some form of sexual harassment or assault in their lifetime. That should not be, right? It should not be. 81%, that's diabolical. That's evil. That's evil. According to the National Black Women's Justice Initiative, NBWJI, for every black woman who reports a rape, at least 15 do not report it. Can y'all imagine what that number is? Right? There used to be there used to be this thing talking about 6 degrees of separation, and that's based on the actor Kevin Bacon, how many movies he's been in, and by degree of 6 people, you can count up to 6 people, and you'll get to a connection to Kevin Bacon, right? Based on how many movies he's been in, no matter who you are in Hollywood, right? It's only 6 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon
And
because he's
it
been in so
is.
many movies. Go ahead.
Hey, listen, that is a real thing too.
Yep. Yep. It's a real thing. It's a real thing, right? So just imagine this statistic where it talks about 81% of women reported experience some form of sexual harassment and assault in their lifetime. And then it goes on to report for every one person that actually reports a sexual assault, at least 15 do not report it. So if you think, brother, that there's someone that you've never been in contact with, a woman who's not experienced this, you're just not understanding what's happening here, right? In the dire need to understand this, and this why understanding it from a biblical context, this narrative that the Bible condones this type of behavior. That's why it's very important. Because what does it do? When what it does is it turns people away from one of the most compelling reasons that people find themselves being able to handle and deal with sexual assault mentally. And that's giving their life over to God, turning to religion, and reading the Bible, right? They tell you that's one of the things that help them through that, right? So when people tell you, oh, there's no answer there, then they're turning many people away from the one thing that has been proven to help the mental state, to help the spiritual state, the restoration state of people who, especially women who've gone through this. That's why it's important to have this discussion, this argument, and to show that the Bible emphatically does not condone rape, does not condone this behavior, right? So I just wanted to offer this for anyone that needs that help or experience anything like that. You need someone to talk to, and it's okay to talk to somebody. That's one of the things in our community is we don't like to talk to people who have actual experience, right? Some of us like to talk to people who know it's not going to give us an answer or a pushback. But you need to talk to somebody who you're able to sit down with and to be able to share, right? All your feelings and not be judged, right? That's important. So let's continue. Uh, For survivors, theologians, and historians alike, examining how the Old Testament addresses rape is a task fraught with profound emotion and moral weight. The core of the debate touches on the painful question: looked at through a modern lens, these ancient laws can easily appear to minimize a devastating crime by focusing on property and social hierarchy. Yet, when we look closer at their original context, and this is what Brother DMG opened up with his question, we find a different intent. This project argues that the Old Testament did not minimize the horror of sexual violence. Rather, these laws were explicitly crafted to protect victims and punish those who harmed them. That's what the biblical narrative tells us. It doesn't tell us anything outside of what we just laid out here. Anything else comes from outside of the Bible and someone projecting onto it. And what they're projecting onto it is usually a feminist argument. It's a misogynistic argument, right? To turn you away from the very thing that many women and many men go to when they go through these experiences that has been proven to help them through these situations, right? So a critical study encompasses a comprehensive and analytical examination across various disciplines. It involves in-depth analysis aimed at unraveling themes, resolving misconceptions, which is what we're doing here, and evaluating contributions in fields like architecture, literature, philosophy, and science. Each discipline employs critical study to enhance understanding and interpretation, highlighting its significance in unraveling complex ideas and evaluating the impact of various texts and philosophies, thereby fostering deeper insight. So, the point of doing a critical study or a critical analysis on this particular topic is really to resolve the misconceptions, because the misconceptions don't come from the scripture, they come from outside of the scripture, right? And so we're going to stay within the scripture and its understanding to get the proper context and its proper intent when it comes to this topic, right? So in treating the trauma of sexual assault, the Bible neither compromises nor minimizes the severity of the offense. Instead, the Torah introduced, listen to me, people, introduced a groundbreaking legal standard for the ancient Near Eastern world, one that fiercely prohibited rape and actively championed the rights and protection of vulnerable women. These laws were not just unique for their time, they laid a profound moral and legal foundation that echoes directly in our modern day legislation against sexual violence. That is the truth of what the scripture actually portrays. It's what it's actually telling us, right? Anything outside of that or anything contrary to this is simply someone's projection of their ideology to subvert the intent of what the scripture actually says, right? So again, the Torah introduces a groundbreaking legal standard for the ancient Near Eastern world when it comes to this situation. You're not going to find it in ancient Kemet. You're not going to find it in any Akkadian or Sumerian text, not even in the codes of Hammurabi. It's the Torah that specifically lays it out. Even for those of you who want to say, well, you don't have a Torah to 580 or so BCE, still none existed. Still none existed that introduces this groundbreaking legal standard for the ancient Near Eastern, in the ancient Near Eastern world of culture, right? That we see has survived until this very day when it comes to protecting and championing the rights of vulnerable women when it comes to prohibitions against rape and sexual assault. It's here. It's what it says, right? In the text. And we'll go through that, right? So let me break down how these arguments against the scripture are made and the topic that the Bible condones rape. Let me show you how these things are formulated, right? So ultimately, the biblical text neither makes concessions nor mitigates the gravity of rape. Arguments to the contrary are fundamentally anachronistic. And this is what Brother DMG was saying. Like, they're not understanding what the culture was at that particular point in time. And what they're trying to do is take a modern idea or presumption of guilt and wrong and immorality and place it in an ancient Near Eastern context, thousands of years before it, that did not exist, right? So imposing modern sensibilities onto the ancient Near East and Hebraic cultures from these laws emerged. This opposing affirmative position relies on two critical logical fallacies that these people try to make. that do this, right? First, it commits a fallacy of presentism, and that's attempting a conceptual time travel that judges ancient jurisprudence or law by contemporary standards. That's the argument that they make. It's a logical fallacy. They're trying to squeeze a square peg into a round hole. Second, it suffers from a sunk cost fallacy. Many of you are not familiar with that, but that's a fallacy. As a debater, you should clearly understand to come to know. They argue from a sunk cost fallacy as well, wherein critics of the biblical narrative stubbornly defend an outdated interpretive framework despite overwhelming contextual evidence because it's contrary. So you can show them the empirical evidence. You can show them the facts. You can show them the linguistics, the morphology. You can show them the culture. You can show them the scriptures that the Bible does not condone rape, and they'll still argue against it. Why? Because they're placing an emotional gaze in the argument. They won't simply say, you know what, I was wrong, or I didn't understand. They'll argue it until they're blue in the face. Y'all see that a lot around here. That you'll be dead wrong, and they'll just argue you till they just blue in the face. They'll start threatening your family and your kids because you just expose them in a lie, or their ignorance is now on Front Street, right? And so now what they'll do is they'll just simply say, "Oh, no, they don't believe it." They'll just shake their head. Won't offer any other empirical evidence to the contrary. No real rebuttal.
Hey, Elder Yaron.
Yes, sir.
I just got to give you a heads up. We got the pseudo slayer himself, Cedric Ortega, in the building, and he watching and listening, brother.
Yeah, yep. I'm glad he is. So, maybe hopefully he'll learn something. So let's get it. So problematic reasoning, right? And this is the problem with these arguments, right? That they have, right? Problematic reasoning, right? When an argument contains problematic reasoning, it often relies on flawed logic or logical fallacies. While these arguments may sound convincing, they fail to provide genuine, valid evidence to support their conclusions. When people are trying to persuade you, they sometimes reach for underhand tricks like the appeal to ignorance or whataboutism to seem more convincing, right? We get this a lot in this community. A lot of folks that really, that a lot of folks really cling to. That's because a lot of these people, their arguments is appeal to ignorance. They're hoping you don't understand what they're saying, or you haven't read what they've read. They're hoping you're not as well studied as they are on the topic. And that way they can finagle and finesse how you think about something. And don't let them have a little oratory skills. You and most of y'all are in trouble because they know you're not going to go vet their information. You're not going to go do it. So they appeal to your ignorance. They appeal to your ignorance. Or they just hit you with a whataboutism. Never answering your question. But what about this? Hey, listen, I didn't ask you. If I ask you, is the sky blue? And you tell me, well, water is blue. I didn't ask you about water. I asked you about the sky. What about, the ribbons in the sky? I didn't ask you about the ribbons in the sky. I asked you, was the sky blue? And we get this all the time. And you'll go round and around and around, chasing your tail fallacy. Just go around and around and around and around. Can't argue because they refuse to give you an answer to a question. So they play on, especially in our community. Man, this happens a lot. This appeal to ignorance and whataboutism.
Yeah, let me ask you this, Elder Yara.
Yes, sir.
What is it when you talk to people about a particular topic? And it can be anything from religion to relationships to politics. And instead of I can ask somebody, you know, are we going to acknowledge that the Republican Party betrayed Black people multiple times when we were firm supporters of that party? Whether you go back to Reconstruction when they abandoned Black people in the South and thus paved the way for Jim Crow laws, redlining, taking advantage of the 13th Amendment, where you can lock somebody up for 10 years for jaywalking, stuff like that, or whether it was how they betrayed us going into the 20th century with different laws that they passed again when we were firm supporters of the party. Instead of answering that, they'll say, well, you know, the Democratic Party was the party that enslaved. Well, that ain't, if that's true, I'm asking you about what I asked you about. Why are you, if you want to talk about the Democrats and what happened with Black people, we can talk about that, but I asked you about Republicans betraying Black people. And they'll still go back to, like, what is that?
Yeah.
Is that a tactic or what?
You know what it is, man? I've come to understand that there's a segment of our people that we have this disdain for education, to be properly educated, right? Because in order for you to be properly educated, you have to formulate your own opinion or your own ideology or your own understanding of a particular topic. Our people don't really stretch out to do that. They find comfort in being a part of the go along, get along game. That way, if you point out the fact that I'm wrong about something, then it's less abrasive if I'm in a crowd of 100 people that actually thinks the same way. Because what they'll do is they'll support my ignorance. And ignorance is just lack of knowing, right? So when you introduce a truth into a pool of ideologies that no longer serve us, people either do one or two things. They either push back or they simply clam up, right? And so no one wants to be the one to stand out. No one wants to be the one to say, you know what, I agree with what's being said, right? And this hinders our people from moving forward. That's why when you have I call them the wonderful people, right? Regardless of whether or not, right, they agree or disagree on politics, very seldomly are you going to see them saying that America is not their country, right? That's America is our homeland. You can tell them, well, what about your ancestors that came over from Ireland or came over from the Netherlands, and what no, America's our country. They all agree on that. When it comes to our people, we don't have that. Some of us tell you, we got some folks talking about we was FBA. You got some folks that's telling you we came over from Indians. Some will say we use Hebrews first, and some will tell you, no, we came from over here first. We have none of that. We have none of that. And so we just fight. We constantly fight against each other instead of stopping to just listen. We don't like to listen to each other. We don't like to listen to each other. And so we fail at a lot of things, man, because there's no cohesiveness among us as a people, right? So these things, man, are hard to deal with, brother. They're hard to deal with. And so I want to show these uh, methodological arguments for presentism or a time travel fallacy that's often made, right, when it comes to the topic. So to accurately assess ancient jurisprudence, one must avoid the fallacy of presentism. In historical analysis, presentism occurs when we use contemporary knowledge and ethics to condemn past societies. And that's the only argument that they have against when it comes to looking at this topic. Does the Bible condone rape? That's the only argument that they have. Failing to respect the vast gulf between ancient and modern worldview paradigms. Critics who argue that the Old Testament mitigates rape are guilty of this error. They strip the biblical text of its original cultural framework and penalize it for not anticipating 21st century legal vernacular. That's simple. These arguments that they present are not difficult. We just have to know what they are and how to identify them. Then we can properly address them, right? Another one is the argument for an anachronistic methodology. This also goes with presentism or time travel fallacy. To accurately assess ancient jurisprudence, we must reject the anachronistic methodology that plays contemporary critiques of the biblical text. Judging historical errors by current moral standards fails because it ignores the profound gulf between ancient and modern worldview paradigms. For example, evaluating Athenian slavery through modern abolitionist values is a recognized error of presentism, as ancient Greek slavery operated under an entirely different social and conceptual matrix than modern chattel slavery. And we read the same thing even in the biblical text when they say, well, the Bible condones slavery. No, it does not. It's the same problem. Slavery in the ancient Near East, especially as you read about it in the Old Testament and even in the New Testament, when it says, when Paul makes the statement, slaves obey your masters, it's not referring to the conceptual matrix of chattel slavery that we've seen in the antebellum South. It's not giving us that context or intent. Hold on a second, family. Yeah, give me 1 second here.
Hey, while our brother get reset, I do want to let y'all know Jeremiah Judah 7000, aka Mandinka Mali, will be defending the Paradigm Shift TV debate title against Jose Francis. Now, Jose ran from me. He said he's never running from Mandinka Mali. I told him Mandinka Mali is legendary in these YouTube debate streets. He said he don't care. He finna eye smite him. He finna take his title. He finna send him back running to the lion's den. That's what he said. That ain't what I'm saying. However, JJ say, listen, man, I'm finna humiliate that man. I'm finna let that man know what time it is and who he dealing with. This is the founder of the Lion's Den. And I'm about to roar. So we're gonna see what's up. Shout out to Notes from the underground in the building. I'm ready to start back when you are, bro.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Let's get it. All right. So again, and I'm gonna go through this. Like a lot of arguments are just simply rudimentary arguments, right? They're not they're not even scholastic or academic arguments that these people try to make against the scripture. All right, makes absolutely no sense, right? Um, let's deal with it. Let's let's do this here. It's like compare, and this is what they do, right? And I'm gonna address this because I saw somebody just try to disprove my point in making this logical fallacy in the chat, right? Now, we all know that human travel is possible, right? We know this. We know it's possible, right? Human travel is possible, right? You can get to point A to point B by walking. You can get to point A and B by horse. You can get there by horse and buggy. You can get there by car. You can get there by plane. You can get there by train. All of those mechanisms are forms of travel, right? But who would dare say on the academic or scholastic level that these are all the same? If I told you a train was the same as walking, you'll argue me up and down and say, no, it's not. But they're all a mode of travel. But simply because they're all of the same mode, just because they're all simply same, they're simply different ways to travel, it doesn't mean that the differences in how we travel are the same. And this is how people argue about grape in the ancient Near East in the biblical context and how we view rape today. Same thing about slavery in the Bible when it talks about slavery. It's not the same as in modern times today. You can't compare the two. And so you have people who are intellectually dishonest and just simply ignorant who would try to make you think that walking is the same as driving a car simply because they're both means of travel. It's not. Taking a cruise ship is different than taking a canoe, even though you can call them both boats. One clearly is not the same as the other. But you have geniuses try to tell you, oh, slavery is slavery. Grape is grape. That's a poor intellectual stance to take. And you'll lose that argument every single time. And this is how we need to understand these texts. And the saddest part about it is these geniuses of a people, they know this. They know this. But because they have no founding or basis for their morality, they hate the Bible. So they just make up fallacious arguments. All right. What I got going on here, man? Let me see.
Black Sage, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Because you mentioned to me your educational background and as in particular as it relates to debates. Do you think that is something most people in the community know? Because I see some challenges being issued, so to speak, or some assumptions being made about whether or not you have a particular amount of knowledge. And I don't think they necessarily know your background. Did you unshare your screen?
Yeah, I did. I'm finna hit back.
All right.
Yeah.
But yeah, talk about that briefly if you can.
Yeah, man. Again, and because I don't, I don't come on, and I don't blow it like y'all see a lot of people doing, man, like just saying a lot of things. But um, I uh, have a degree in applied behavioral science. It's an AAS degree, so it's applied behavioral science. If anybody wants to understand what that is, you can look it up. It's the AAS. That's number one. I have a bachelor's degree in communication. Um, that's number two. Uh, Number three, um, I have worked in. I also have a paralegal background, paralegal degree as well. Um, I've been doing that for about 30 years. Um, I run my own company based on that. Been doing that successfully for about 6 years with employees. I've done litigation, subrogation, maritime law, criminal. Um, I do mostly intellectual property now. I've done forms of law most people have probably never even heard of or even been involved in. Uh, and that includes legal writing. I actually have memoranda um, that I've actually helped assist to write that actually has been used in some jurisprudence cases in the state of Illinois. Um, I just started putting up some of my theological uh, papers and journals that I can provide the DOI number for those who would like to read one of my papers in dealing with uh, Yahweh, the evolution of Yahweh, and in the ancient Near East. So those can be read. I taught at Trinity University in world religion uh, for I say 4 years in Decatur, Illinois, as an adjunct professor. So my background in this, and then, like I said, man, as far as Hebrew Israelite paradigm, I've been involved with Hebrew Israelite paradigm and study, man, for about 20 years now, going on 20 years now. Um, been raised around church, been raised around different things like that. Um, I studied Islam. I study. If people actually want to know, I studied under the Honorable Louis Farrakhan, and peace be upon him and his family. His wife just passed away, a beautiful mother. She just passed away. So strength to that family as well. But studied under him for a number of years. So I mean, people like to try to argue. My passion is as an independent researcher is religion in ancient Near Eastern context, right? So
I-
my
in other words, y'all better quit playing with the black sage.
so yeah, man, and people even with that, man, people don't understand like Israel. If you actually say Israel had sages, they didn't just have prophets, but they also had sages, right? I think in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 18, verse 18, you'll read about the sages of Israel, right? So they had sages. So when people say, oh, well, you came or you changed this, you came up there, no, it's just an evolution of understanding and wisdom and knowledge that most people, because they're not read, don't understand. And that's okay. That's okay. Um, but I've been involved in, jury selection, murder cases, uh, sexual assault cases. Been a part of jury voyeurs and helping select jurors, right? So for cases, so yeah, I've when it comes to jurisprudence, I have a very solid understanding of that. I did pass the LSAT. I didn't finish law school. I entered law school at John Marshall in Chicago. I didn't finish because I started a family, and we had more children be more, more than what my pockets could hold at the time. So I wasn't able to complete my law school journey. But I still been a part of. I work for some of the top prestigious law firms in the world, not just in my state, not just in the country, but in the world, right? World renowned law firms. So, um, I don't do it often, DMG. I don't get up here and say that often at all because I don't really think it matters in this
Hey,
space as much as most people think it matters when they get up and do that type of stuff. It don't matter to me, but
I just had to let you talk your talk for a minute. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, 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 yeah. So yeah, so that's what it is. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. So that's what it is, bro. So hey man,
No doubt, no doubt.
yeah, so I don't really get off um into that, man, with people, man. So you know, so it's one of the things. Uh-huh.
Nah, salute. It's
Yeah.
all
And somebody said there's no pass and fail on the LSAT. It's not a pass and fail on the LSAT. It's not a pass and fail, but most people don't even understand what I'm talking about. So so is it's not really and I took that at Kaplan University. You know what I'm saying? So um it is what it is. It's point based. So like I clearly know what that is, right? Yeah. You know.
no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. You can get back to the lesson, my brother.
Yeah, yeah, yep, no doubt. Yep. I think I remember I got like a 135 on my LSAT. So most people don't understand what that is anyway. But it's all good. Let's get it. Let me see if I'm getting back to see if I get back to that. You know, let me see if I'm doing this right. Hold on, let me get back real quick, bro. I'm gonna stop it and then share it again. For some reason, it's only letting me do that. People funny, man. They're hilarious, bro. But all right. So let's get back to it, man.
All right, let me get you back up.
Yeah. And let me say something, man. Shout out to JJ 7000, man. People be sleep on JJ 7000, man, but he be hitting them, bro. I see you, JJ. Man, Dinka Molly. I'm used to saying JJ, but man, Dinka Molly. But let me get through this, man. Then I'm gonna get to the meat, right? It says, an argument for anachronistic methodology. Critics who argue that the Old Testament mitigates rape commits this precise methodological blunder. They penalize ancient Hebraic law for failing to use modern vernacular, blind to how uniquely protective those laws actually were within their own historical context. If you don't understand that, then you shouldn't really be having these arguments, right? People will argue till you will argue with you till you blue in the face about this. But you cannot have this argument this way, right? And here's the sunken cost fallacy that a lot of you debaters probably, and I didn't mention I was on the debate team either. So, so let me throw that out there. But logical fallacy, sunken cost fallacy, right? So scholars of law, theology, and history deeply contest the Old Testament stance on the trauma of grape. The core debate balances whether these ancient laws fiercely oppose sexual violence within their native cultural context or whether they minimize the victim's agony by focusing on social and property dynamics, right? Let's talk about what sunken cost fallacy is, right? It's our brain's compulsion to stick with the losing choice because we've already invested a lot of money, time, or effort in it. You've been having these conversations for weeks, for decades. And I said weeks because some of y'all only been having these conversations for weeks and you think you got it figured out, right? But it's your brain's natural compulsion just to stick with what you think you know, right? You done had 30 people have you done had 30 people have this you've had this conversation with, and all 30 of you are ignorant to the facts. But you walk away feeling as if you valid in your argument. Right? So anybody in this community that knows me will tell you I talk and I study with anyone. Any if you have an opposing view to me. If you agree with me, I don't have time to preach to the choir. I want to talk to the people who have an opposing view than I do. I've had many phone conversations with Jose Francis in regards to his ideology and his thoughts on ancient Kemet. I want to hear his opposing views. Right? I've had many conversations with Chris Harris. Right? Hearing his opposing views. I have many conversations with people who don't agree with me. I don't need you around me because you agree with me. Right? My good brother and I, we finally come to some common ground on some things that we're gonna be sharing soon. My good brother King J. I got some Israelite brothers that are close and dear to me. They don't agree with nothing what King J says. But King J and I have been able to find common ground on some things because they're factual. I don't need to diminish him and discredit him and put him down because he and I don't see eye to eye on everything. But there's some things that he said that I agree with. And I think it's more important to share those things and to present those things than simply just to present it. I got to be arguing with him all the time, simply because he doesn't agree with everything that I postulate. Right? So again, we see these examples right here of the sunk cost fallacy. I can't break up. We've dated for a full year. I lose all of that. That ain't got nothing to do with why we shouldn't or should not be together. Another example. This is a terrible movie, but I paid $15 to see it, so I'm just gonna sit right here through it. So you're gonna waste your time for $15. Time is valuable. So you rather sit and waste your time for something that does not hold your interest. Just simply because you paid money for it, you just go along with it. Sunk cost fallacy. This workout stinks, but I've come too far to start now. It ain't benefiting you nothing. You ain't losing no love handles. Your glutes are still sagging. Ain't nothing working.
Hey, you got me over here dying. he say the love handles and still hanging.
And you still doing the same workout. Ain't nothing changing. You've been doing the same workout for 6 months or a whole year. Ain't nothing changing. But instead of you finding something else that can help you get the desired results, actual results that you need, you just gonna stick with it because, well, that's just what I'm used to. That's what I'm used to hearing. And a lot of y'all come around here in these spaces with these arguments. Y'all can listen to Brother DMG go in like he did the other day with our brother Hercules, and y'all will sit up here and say, well, I'm just not ready for that. Come on, man. So I don't agree with it. It's a sunk cost fallacy.
And throughout the whole presentation, I never mentioned debate. I
Never
mean,
once,
belief.
bro.
Never mentioned belief.
Yep.
And yeah,
And what did you get hit with? Oh, his belief. See, you just a Christian. They, hey, bro. Anything to, but to that keep them from addressing the truth. Anything to get them from to stop them from accepting the truth. And that's what the question you was asking earlier. Like it's just it's a sunk cost fallacy that they'll get up and even have these. They want to debate, and that's all they want to debate is these sunken cost fallacies. We're showing you primaries. We're showing you the context of what these people wrote about in their history, what they espouse, how they live their lives. None of this stuff is a mystery, right?
it's facts.
But simply because that ain't what you and your homies like to talk about when y'all have y'all sleepovers over the phone. It's what y'all do. Hey man, listen, this is time out, right? For this type of behavior because our communities don't grow. That's why we have to keep coming back. And people don't say, man, y'all debate the same topics because somebody always comes. And DNG, I'm telling the truth. Somebody always come back with the same topic they want to discuss. They want to debate that they just heard somebody else discuss a debate. And because they didn't want to accept that person's information, they think they got some better information.
Facts.
I just heard you say, hey, man, listen, let's not do the Jabari debate. Why would somebody come on here, man, and try to have the exact same debate? They know Jabari and Dr. Reggie is about to have. You see? Like, honestly, what empirical evidence are you about to present that's going to be different for either one of their positions at this point? Like, I just laugh, bro. I'm like, this stuff is crazy, man. It's crazy. And so people man, look, man, it's a sunk cost fallacy. Get away from these type of people. You wasting your time having conversations with them, right? And that's one of the reasons why after I thought about having a debate about this topic, I was like, you know what? It's not worth debating because there's actually no debate. There's actually no debate about it, right? So again, approaching this painful history with the gravity it deserves, my study demonstrates that the Old Testament laws did not mitigate rape. Instead, they function to protect victims and punish perpetrators. The assertion that biblical law minimizes sexual assault collapses under the weight of its own flawed methodology, which is bound by the three core errors. And that's what I talked about: presentism, anachronistic, and a sunken cost fallacy argument. It folds, it's exposed, and it folds. That's the only way that those arguments attempt to exist is in those three spaces. Other than that, it's nothing more than a fallacious claim. And what happens is that people get too invested. They get too invested in a fallacious claim that they feel stupid once they know it's exposed and don't have enough sense or integrity to withdraw from that claim. Some of y'all just need to withdraw from the claims y'all make. Nobody's going to fault you if you do that. I won't. I think I would think you're more of a scholar or academic if you were to do so. But they're motivated by a bruised ego, fear of defeat, and irrational animosity towards the text. They hate the scripture, period. And critics stubbornly double down on their errors. You know you're wrong, but you just gonna double down on it. You just gonna beat us about the brow in the face, and you're wrong. The biblical narrative does not condone rape. I don't care how you try to remix it. All right. The exact intellectual stubbornness further underpins any contrarian's faulty premise. Y'all just have bad arguments, right? So I'm gonna go through this. Let me get to some of the stuff I know the people really want to see, right? And I can come back to this later because it's just my breakdown on it. All right. Let's do what some of the scholars say. R.S. Kawashima, could a woman say no in biblical Israel on the genealogy of legal status in biblical law and literature? Right? AJS Review, 2011, pages 1 through 22. And this is a University of Florida research paper. You can find it actually as an article referenced in the Cambridge journals as well. And listen to what he says, right? In his 2011 article, Could a Woman Say No in Biblical Israel on the Genealogy of Legal Status in Biblical Law and Literature, Robert H. Kawashima observes that only men, or fathers particularly, may lawfully dispense with the sexual use of female bodies. 2011, right? Understand what he's saying here, right? Understand he was saying in the context of the ancient Near East, the sexual value or the sexual existence of a woman was something that was owned particularly by a father or the male head of that household. It was something that was of such immense value that they didn't leave it to a woman who could possibly be guiled by a man and lose her sexual value. So your father or the head of that household, his job was to protect your sexual value as a female. I know that spins
Hey,
some of
if I
y'all
may,
brains to mush. Go ahead.
if I may, Elder Yara, as a
Yes,
man
sir.
with 4 daughters, all
Mm-hmm.
of which are grown now, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I wish
Mm-hmm.
that I had that authority and that
Yep.
power as it related to them
Facts.
giving themselves
Yep.
to an individual,
It
because
was
I
not
would have
worthy.
put
Yep.
absolutely. So,
Yep.
but continue. That resonated with me heavy. You hear me?
Yeah. Hey, listen, I have 4 daughters as well, grown. I have 1 daughter, no children, no husband. But guess what? She's had issues with men. And guess what? I always would tell her, I said, whatever you do, let him know that you have a father who's living, moving, and breathing, and will be there lickety on the spit, as they used to say, on the spot.
I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
You know what I'm
I,
saying?
I
Make
had a
that known
similar.
from day one.
Hey, let that be known. Look, I almost, when my oldest daughter first started dating, me and
Mhm.
my cousin almost pulled that scene from Bad Boys.
Hey, bro, for real. I've had to do it several times, man. Several times. You got to do it, man. You got to do it. So it is my duty as a father to protect, not it may sound lewd when we say it today, but back then it was their duty to protect the sexual value of that woman. Why? Because that was the thing that she held that no one could take away from her, that would secure her future. You understand? That was the one thing that she held as a female that would secure her future, her sexual integrity and purity. And so it was the father's job to make sure that that was protected. Y'all can't tell me, y'all, listen, y'all wish some of y'all fathers would have knocked you upside the head before y'all got involved with that man that you've been chasing around for child support for 25, 35, 40 years. Two-timing you. And then you still run back to him and you got you pregnant again. Now instead of not paying for one, he ain't paying for two.
Right, but because you had one bomb, you feel like you don't want to add to your situation and end up in a similar situation with two men. So you say, I'm gonna try to stick it out with this one, but he didn't prove to you that he ain't worthy.
Yep.
See, if I could,
go ahead.
For those who didn't watch the Marvel movies, I would put an enchantment on every young woman that he who may not be worthy cannot enter this temple.
Facts.
and make it real hard for these bums out here. But I digress.
Yeah, and that's absolutely what this is. And so so as we began to see, and first of all, understand what the scholars say. I'm talking about those who dig down deep. We're talking about in the halls and the annals of academia and scholarship when it comes to dealing with this context. This is what we have to focus on. I don't have to give an emotional response or reaction, right? I'm just reading to you what the scholars actually say about it. And it's funny when it comes to certain things that we want to pick and choose not just which scholars we listen to because of their skin color, but when do we listen to the scholars? See, we only want to listen to the scholars when it's, goes along with our our how we feel about it, right? When it agrees with us, you see. But on this particular topic, does the Bible condone grape? The consensus of scholars is the answer is no. There's nothing, and it's really nothing to be discussed about it. The only arguments against it come from outside, fit within those three fallacies: presentism, anachronistic, and sunk cost fallacy. And it built on misogynistic and feminist arguments. But none of them support what the text actually says, not according to this consensus of scholars on the topic. So he concludes that the absence of consent means there was no such thing as forcible rape in biblical Israel's legal system. I'm not reading something from 30, 40, 18, 1500. It's 2011 he wrote this. Any such encounters are crimes of illicit sex, and the victim is either the woman's father or her husband, not the woman herself. So the one who, and so let me get y'all to understanding this as y'all are reading through these scriptures, or y'all hearing people talk about this. So when they talk about if a woman's sexual purity is violated, that the violator or the perpetrator has to pay the father or the husband or the brother, whoever the head male of the household is, he has to pay him so many shekels. Why? It's not because the fathers are saying, listen, this is how much we selling her sexual value from. No, it was a penalty. It was a penalty because you've legally harmed the father or the male of that household, because the value of the sexual purity of his daughter had to be rectified, because now the sexual purity no longer exists. So the blessing of that daughter's sexual purity not only was to ensure her future, but it also helped the entire family. So it may seem archaic and arcane in today's time, but at that time, it was valued, highly valued. And so they say, oh, you just would give her 50 shekels or 30 or 50 shekels and send her on her way. That's not what it was. It's not what it was. But you won't get that understanding if you don't properly study. And if you study with a confirmation bias, you're going to get that too. You're going to walk away ignorant of what the intent or the text actually is saying, right? Thus, even the story of Amnon's entrapment and attack on his sister Tamar in 2 Samuel 13, a brutal sexual assault she attempts to resist, is not a case for grape, according to Kwashimi. And the reason why is because she did not own her sexual purity. The family, the father was responsible for the sexual purity. I know it doesn't sound right today, but we can only talk about it in the context of its day. To try to push a modern narrative on it is a presentism fallacy. It's a time travel fallacy. It's an argument you cannot uphold. Right? Biblical law and literature, he concludes, fail to perceive what he refers to as forcible grape. The text doesn't give it that. And so when you say, well, that's how I would see it today, well, that's your conjecture now. That's your interpolation into the text. That's your opinion of the text. Now, you can argue my opinion of the text, but do not dare come and say, this is what the text says. It doesn't say that at all. Anything outside of this understanding, you made it up. You made it up. Simple as that. Right? Next slide. Eve Levavi Feinstein, PhD, because some of y'all say, well, of course, that's what a man would say. I got you covered. Eve Levavi Feinstein, PhD, Harvard University and Stanford. She pens the book Sexual Pollution in the Hebrew Bible. Right? Here's the source for it. Right? There's the citation. Sexual pollution in the Hebrew Bible. New York, Oxford University Press, 2014. See what she says. She talks about the case of Dinah, right? Which is often the go-to for most people when they want to talk about that you can show evidence of grape in the Bible, right? And that it's condoned somehow. They often go to this. But let's see what she says. In Sexual Pollution in the Hebrew Bible, Eve Levavi Feinstein uses the readings of Lynn M. Betchel and Tekva Framer-Kinsky to suggest that based on word order, this is important, based on word order, Dinah may not have actually been graped by Shechem. Right? And this is something we've been arguing before, that is clearly not a sexual assault here. The argument made by Betchel is that in descriptions of grape, violate precedes lie with, while in cases of consensual sex, violate follows lie with. Do y'all see the difference? I'll read it again. The argument made by Betchel is that in descriptions of grape, violate precedes lie with in the text, while in cases of consensual sex, violate follows lie with. So violate comes before in the understanding of grape in the Bible when it talks about to lie with. But when it talks about to lie with and the word violate comes after it, that's consensual. So in her book, Reading the Women of the Bible, Frymer Kinski provides a reading that compares the stories of Dinah and Tamar. She argues that Ina, to humble, refers more generally to an act of humbling or degrading of a person. In a case when Shakha, to lie down with, precedes Ina, the humbling of a woman is a casual result of the illicit sex act of any kind, not necessarily grape. Contrasting this, Ina preceding Shakab illustrates of the fact of is illustrated of the fact of Eve Levi Feinstein in Sexual Pollution. This is what she postulates, right? Based on her breakdown. That even when you talk about the differences in the situation that Tamar went through versus what Dinah went through, Dinah was not raped, but the evidence is positive for an argument for Tamar. And our good brother DMG talks about Absalom, the brother of Tamar, who said, you know what? You're not going to treat my sister like this and get away with it because the penalty for it is death. Tamar
Hey, you
also
notice,
said, go ahead.
now I was gonna say, you notice he said you defiled my
You
sister.
defiled my sister.
And
Exactly.
he went to his father to rectify it. David
Yep.
ain't want to do nothing.
That's
What was
right.
it? He waited 2 years, let him get comfortable,
Yep.
you think everything all right?
Yep.
And he took care of business.
Took care of business. And the reason, and see, people don't understand the reason why David is not that David didn't want to do anything. David was in a political situation that had he went after had he went after the rape
Amnon.
Amnon, who came after Tamar, it would have set off a war that David felt like he could not have won at that time.
And we gotta remember, it was his son.
It was his son. Absolutely. It was his son.
And because he was Tamar and Absalom half brother, she even says,
Yep.
we don't do this in Israel.
We don't do this in Israel.
Father, can you marry me?
Yep. She said it. Right? And so the war he was afraid setting off a war with his mother's side because Amnon's mother was a princess, right? Her father was a king.
It was one of those what they call them, Elder Yara, when you marry your daughter to either to your enemy as a means of peace treaty or to your potential enemy.
Yep, that's exactly what it was. People don't understand too. This is why Solomon had so many wives or concubines. These were peace treaties. Right? People don't understand that. They say Solomon was a womanizer. No, these are peace treaties. He was marrying these people so they wouldn't have to go to war. He would have to go to war with them. That's why the Bible tells us he had peace for so many years, because you bring somebody from your nation or daughter or son, and you marry them together, and we don't go to war. Because now what we got in common? Grandchildren, legacy, now wealth. So this is why even Solomon has so many wives. But this is the understanding that people, because they don't read and study the text, they just take on misogynistic and feminist arguments and they run wild with them, with having no concept of what the scripture is actually dealing with or talking about, right? And these are PhD scholars. This is and these are women. And I really wanted to show more so what the women's perspective of it was, those who actually study the actual text, what the academics actually say in the consensus of these issues of grape in the Bible. That's why I'm dealing more with what the women are saying, because you can't make an argument if you like in ignorance and say, well, that's what, of course, that's what men will say, but this is what the women are saying. That's what the women are saying, all right? It says the rape of Dinah in Genesis 34 tells the story of a local Hivite prince raping Dinah, the only daughter of Jacob. The rape of Tamar, 2 Samuel 13, tells the story of Amnon, one of King David's sons. We just talked about raping King David's daughter, Tamar. Both stories are traditionally interpreted as stories of rape. But the violence of raping a woman starts before the physical act of penetration. Thus, according to Schreimer, Kinsky, the female Ina, preceding Shaka or Shaka, as it does in the story of Tamar, but does not in the story of Dinah, would insinuate an instance of rape or grape. Following this line of logic, certain translators and biblical commentators would argue that the rape of Dinah is a misnomer for a story that could perhaps better be described as a tragedy of star-crossed lovers. Frymer Kinsky, who's a female PhD, is also let me go back and say I don't know if she's a PhD, but Frymer Kinsky is also careful to emphasize that Ina usually has nothing to do with sex. So a lot of this stuff y'all hear when it comes to this topic is things people are just saying because they want to say it. It has no basis.
Yeah, Elder Yara, think about this. And this is how you know a lot of people don't actually read the Bible. With Dinah in particular,
Mm-hmm.
her and homeboy liked each other.
Yep, facts.
Her brothers, because he didn't go about it the way you supposed to go about it, her brothers dealt with it in a particular way. Her father was cool with it.
Facts. Yep. Facts. Facts. And that's what it is. So then they look at that word. So because it says like he humbled her, they automatically in a modern today's society, people attempt to lie and create a scenario as if there was some unwanted sexual advances that occurred there, or he humbles her, because really what they don't like is the word humble, because it hangs too close to submission for them.
Humble in today's vernacular, particularly amongst feminists and misogynists, has a negative connotation. Let me tell y'all something. I try to humble my wife every night because that may be because she a high power boss lady doing her thing. There are only a few circumstances where she can be humble.
Facts.
And I'm trying to do it nightly.
Facts. 1,000. 1,000, brother. 1,000. 1,000. And that's the sad part that a lot of brothers don't really understand. They don't really get it. Here's another independent scholar, Torah scholar, authority on the Dead Sea Scrolls, the Pentateuch, and the Torah. Her name is Tamar Yael Yah, right? And she pens a work entitled Sacred Vaginas, How the Torah Condemns Grape. And this was in 2019. Let me read to you a section from her book. All right, I downloaded it, and so I just cut this section right here. It says, there are many scholars, theologians, and laypersons that present the belief that the Bible is a patriarchal book. This is what she says here. This is powerful. It is a patriarchal book that tells the story of male dominion over women. In keeping with that historical reconstruction, did y'all get that? She said that's a historical reconstruction. The Bible is not a patriarchal book. She said, but in keeping with that historical reconstruction, they interpret passages in the Torah to make the Torah to appear to condone and support the rape of women. More specifically, they focus on passages in Deuteronomy as a support for their view that the Creator approves of virginal rape by creating a marriage union out of it. You gotta, you gotta marry a rapist. It forces you to marry a rapist. It doesn't say that. It says these interpretations are misogynistic attempts at reinforcing their view of male dominance over women. Does y'all understand what she's saying here? She said that's a feminist trope that the Bible condones rape, and y'all falling for it. These people are not academic scholars and students of the scripture. They read something, and off the black and white letters on the page, they take it and run with it. Their ignorance, not knowing. They don't even study ancient Eastern culture. They don't even understand the biblical narrative. They don't even understand Hebrew law. They don't even understand it. But because they have some modern ideology in which they choose or want to shellac over the ancient Eastern culture, they want to lay blame to what they think is the reason. And let me tell you, let me drop some psychology on y'all. Why you get a lot of this, right? Especially when it comes to women. Because you had women, and I read the statistic earlier, right? 81% of women that have been involved in some type of sexual assault or rape, right? That's a very high number. Let me tell you what happens psychologically, right? Once you have someone who's been victimized by something, one of two things happen. Once they began to try to understand why that situation has happened to them, they go from one extreme to the other extreme, never landing in the middle, but one extreme to the other extreme. And if you come from a religious background and you've experienced this type of trauma, you're either going to blame God for this tragedy and walk away from God, or you're going to reinforce your belief in God and trust and help Him to get you through it. And what happens at times is that they look for ways, because they believe that this is God's will, that they went through that trauma. They look for a way in the text to excuse what has just befallen them or what happened to them. So they'll read these stories about rape and say, yeah, the Bible condones it because I was raped, but I still love God. I still believe in God. That's just one extreme. Then you have the other extreme. Was God, if you really love me, you wouldn't have let this happen to me. There's never any middle ground. So you get these arguments, these fallacious arguments, that the Bible must condone it because it must be God's will, because He's responsible. And here's the biggest lie that they tell: because God is responsible for the good things and the evil things. And because that lie is pushed and perpetrated, now you can stand on these fallacious arguments and lie and misinterpret the scripture, and it sounds credible, but they're actually incredible because it doesn't fit the context or the history of what the biblical narrative states. And so now your behavior begins to show through these traumatic experiences. All right? Applied behavioral science. This is what happens. So it's not easy to understand why these arguments are being made if you know how and why they're being made against the Bible. But it rest assured, it's not, none of it's true. It's simply made up. And this is what the scholars, the women, are saying, right? This is also what she says. The continued persistence of scholars to interpret the Torah as a male-dominant society in which women did not share equal legal status or protection is an attempt to reinforce misogynistic historical fairy tales. It is scholarship that is void of deep analysis of the fullness of Torah and a void of the understanding and analysis of Hebrew, with more careful examination of the principles of justice, fairness, and equality in the Torah, scholars and readers of the Torah will find a different message. Torah is not a law which justifies and perpetuates rape and crimes against Israelite women. Batya Tamayel in Sacred Vaginas in her works, How the Torah Condemns Rape in 2019. Now, some will say, yeah, you wouldn't do Israelite women like that. Well, hold on. This is why when you get to the point in the book of Deuteronomy, when it starts to talk about when the men are at war and he looks at a woman who's desirable, not just her features, or he looks at her to see if she's a woman he wants to bring it to her home, right? Who's not an Israelite woman by birth. This is why he gives her 30 days of mourning, and then he has to marry her at the end of that 30 days. And it's at the end of that 30 days that he marries her and he goes into her as a wife and as a husband. And so when that happens, culturally, she is now an Israelite woman. So yeah, even the woman who's not a native born Israelite, once she's brought into that culture, according to the law, through marriage, she becomes an Israelite woman.
Hey,
So
Elder
she's
Yara,
protected. Yes, sir.
I know this is one of our big bro Sarnetta favorite talking points, right?
Yeah.
And what he and every other person who tries to create the polemic with this particular story is when they were told to kill all the men, women, and children, besides the young girls who had not known a man, it's because they could be brought in as potential wives, but also what they miss is it said that if you don't want to make them a potential wife, let them go.
Let them go.
The other part is a man, a woman, a male child, or a woman who had known a young girl or a woman who had known a man with a potential male child or those are potential threats.
Yes.
But they
Yes.
don't want to talk about that part. Why are they potential threats? Because depending on their age, they have a cultural memory
That's a
of
fact.
that previous society that was the enemy of the society you would then be attempting to bring them into.
That's a fact.
They
That's a fact.
don't talk about that part though.
They don't talk about that part because the point of it all is when you talk about these other cultures, right, and their offspring and their children. Ezra even does this when he comes back out of captivity. He says, "Hey, look, you Levites, y'all married these women who are not native Israelites, and your children. Get these children and these wives out of here. Why? Because what were they doing? They were still holding on to their cultural practices and cultural memories of idol worship. And what were these idol worships? A lot of these idol worshipers, right? They were drinkers of human blood. They had sexual immorality, sexual impurity, orgies to venerate their deities and their gods. And this is what they don't understand, that those who kept these ritual orgies were passing along disease. This is what we read about in Numbers chapter 24. They were passing along disease throughout Israel. And when the Israelites were being drawn away by these women, they were picking up these venereal disease and spreading throughout the camp. Children of Israel were dying. Now, they didn't have no penicillin and insulin back then. So how were they to deal with that? You had to get rid of it. You had to rid it out of the camp. How do you stop the spread of disease? And even in that argument in Numbers 24, I'm gonna come out, I'm gonna do a teaching on that and show it. I haven't done it in a while. I'm gonna show it that when you were dealing with the children of Moab and the Midianites at that time, they were worshipers of Molech, right? And so no one ever asks, why were there Midianite and Moabite virgins separated from the men, women, and children? Nobody ever asked that, DMG. Nobody ever asked that. Because the reason, what we know is that part of that culture, virgin women could only be sacrificed, set aside, because we know that all of the women weren't virgins because they had husbands and children. Why was there a group of women classified as virgins? Because they were being kept for human sacrifice to the god of Molech. We notice through the cuneiform text. We know this in the history of the Canaanites and the Phoenicians, that they sacrificed young virgin girls to the deity of Molech. And so when you read these texts,
I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna stop interrupting.
Go ahead, no doubt.
So if you really look into it, they actually saved lives.
Facts. That's what the scripture is telling you was happening here. Because had not they took those young virgins for wives, they would have been sacrificed to Molech. That's why they were separated from the men, women, and children.
Hey, Yara, this is a dagger, bro. Hey, I gotta step away, pay a water bill, keep building, bro, and let me know when you're ready to open it up.
Yeah, as soon as you come back, let me know. I'll be ready to open up. As soon as you get ready. So yeah. So let's continue. Right. I'm almost finished here. I really wanted to share this right here. And so she also says we're still talking about Tamar Yael Batyah's work, The Sacred Vaginas, how the Torah condemns her work from 2019. She says, I will demonstrate that the passage of the unwed virgin woman in Deuteronomy 22 is consensual relations, not grape. But Yah's analysis will demonstrate that the Torah does not condone grape. nor does it condone forced marriage to someone who sexually assaults a woman. Y'all have heard that lie. They force you to marry your rapist. It wasn't true. These truths about Torah have positive implications for victims of sex trafficking, trafficking victims of sexual assault, and women in general. The Deuteronomy passage, Deuteronomy 22, the passage in Deuteronomy that is often used wrongly to support rape theories in favor of marrying one's rapist is Deuteronomy chapter 22, verses 28 and 29. The passage reads, if a man finds a virgin girl, a Bethula is what that is, not being betrothed, and seizes her and lies down with her, and they be found, shall give to the girl's parents 50 pieces of silver. This is not a story of rape. And how do we know this? These words right here, and they be found, shall give to the girl's parents 50 pieces of silver, and she shall be his wife because he has humbled her. Let's see what that word humbled is. I'm sharing it right here. Is ana, right? To answer, respond, testify, speak, sing. Verb ana, to give account, afflict by mistake, for, cause to give, answer, bring low, by mistake, cry, hear, lenoth, lift up, say, ex scholar, give a shout, to sing, together by course, speak, testify, utter, bear witness, right? Properly to eye, generally to heed, pay attention, by implication to respond, to begin to speak, specifically to shout, testify, announce, sing. Let me go through some more of these, right? Testify, announce, a primitive root, properly to eye, to heed, to pay attention, by implication to respond, to begin to speak, specifically to speak, give an account, and it goes on and on, bear witness. But none of this gives us the understanding of grape when it says to humble, right? None of that. Let's go back, right? Because the prohibition, it says he may not divorce her all his days. So remember what we read from the other PhD scholar that talks about the crime being perpetrated against the father for a man who improperly or defiles a woman, right? And in this case, the term is used humble. Now, again, as DMG and I talked about, that word humble today is a triggering word today. But then, in its context, it's just simply saying they had sex. And in this case, we know it's consensual sex because why? It says, and they be found. In other words, they're together. And how do we know they're together in secret? Because not once does she cry out. Because if you read the law, even if the woman says she cries out in the field and no one heard, they always side with the woman because she says she's cried out. Even if no one else was around and she was taken into a field or somewhere secluded and no one heard her, if she says, I cried out and he still did this to me, they would always, the law says they must side with the woman. But this didn't happen in this case. Why? Because she didn't cry out. They was just discovered together. That's how it reads. The penalty for grape in the Bible is death. Period. Period. There's no other mitigation for grape. If you grape someone, you die. So all of these arguments, these false issues and allegations about whether or not the Bible simply gives you lesser degrees, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. You're confusing consensual sex, illicit sex versus grape. Same book from Bet Yah, How the Torah Condemns Rape in 2019. She said rape is tantamount to stealing a person in a rape. A victim is hidden and held against her will. That's the equivalent of stealing a person, man stealing. In Exodus 21:16 and Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 7, the Torah mandates a penalty for someone holding a fellow Israelite against their will. In Exodus 21:16, it reads, and he that steals a person, it doesn't say a man, it says a person. That means both either a man or a woman, and sells them, or if he is found in his hand, seized, he shall surely be put to death. If a person is found stealing a person of his kinspeople, of the children of Israel, and has dealt with him as a slave and sold him, then that thief shall die. In the Hebraic sense, a rapist is stealing a person. The verb used to indicate steal is the above passages is the same one used in Genesis 31:20 and 31:27 to describe deceit. If you deceive someone, rape is a deception. In Genesis 31:20, it says that Jacob deceived Laban. In verse 27, Laban asked Jacob, why have you stolen me? Or why have you deceived me? It's a prohibition against man stealing. That includes women, which would include the action of grape, because you're stealing, especially when we talks about stealing something that is very valuable to a woman. If you obtained it without permission, that is grape. It is a Hebraic expression correlating theft with deceit. To hold a person against their will is not only theft but deceit. Since Torah has a prohibition against deceiving or stealing fellow Israelites, then grape is condemned not only from the above passages in Exodus 21 and Deuteronomy 24, but grape is also condemned in Leviticus 19:11. Not shall you steal, nor lie, nor deceive one another. To rape is to steal, and therefore grape is forbidden under Leviticus 19:11. Grape is also forbidden in the Torah by Leviticus 19:13. It states, not shall you extort your neighbor nor rob. To grape another is to take something from them without consent. That is extortion and robbery. And it is punishable by death. There's only one consequence, one way to mitigate grape in the scripture, and that is the wages of sin is death. It's clearly a sin, right? Once the victim of the attacker has said, if you back DMG, let me know, man, so we can take
All
people
right,
hit
I'm
the
gonna throw the
panel.
link in the chat.
Yep, yep. And I can go to like 3:30, so like 30 minutes, 10 minutes, something like
All
that,
right,
10,
y'all.
15 minutes. Yeah, I'm gonna
Y'all
end it right
come
here.
in. If you got a question or a comment for Elder Yara, this is not a debate. This is not a debate. But if you want to challenge him to a debate, do so at your own risk. But question or comment for Elder Yara, link is in the chat. All right, link is in the chat. Let me know if you need me to bring that back up, Elder.
No, I'm good, man. I'm good. I don't think we need to do that. I'm gonna end right here. Like I said, I'm gonna give some time and I'm gonna come back. And going to part, like I said, I got this in 3 parts where I actually go into the actual uh text, and show the differences. But I wanted to what the consensus of the PhD scholars say on this topic. Does the Bible condone grape? Right? And the answer is emphatically no. It's emphatically no, right? Um, so a lot of these things
All right, Elder Yara, we
we must put it in.
got a soldier up here, man. I think he about to vehemently disagree with you, bro.
Hey,
He already
it's cool. It's cool.
smiling, Elder.
Hey, it's cool, man.
He
Like
already smiling. King J, what you got to say, man?
What up, Yara? What
hey,
up,
what's good, brother? What's good? What's good,
Peace,
fam?
peace to the panel, DMG.
Peace,
You know, I'm not
brother.
up here too often, so I always want to show respect to the platform when I am up here.
Yeah, no doubt.
The brother
I
Gideon
appreciate
as
it, bro.
well. And Yara. So you know my brother Yara, you know we ain't never gonna be into it about nothing. So
Yeah.
I ain't got no questions for you. So but I was when I was listening to you, I was thinking, you
Mm-hmm.
know, kind of, our Amorite discussions, and I'm thinking Hammurabi Code, I'm thinking about 1700, 18th century, and I'm thinking of Hammurabi Code 130, where the widow, well, the woman is married, she's betrothed to her husband, but she's still living within her father's home.
Mm-hmm.
And if she is to be raped, the penalty is death.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
penalty is death. So
Yep.
we could correlate that to a Bible scripture. So that's why I kind of like us together, because I can give you like the primaries and the historical, and you're gonna come
Yeah.
with the scriptures, and they actually line up
Yep.
through primary little Amorite sources. So we was discussing that earlier previously. So
Yeah. Absolutely, man. And I'm glad you brought that up because um, this is why I always was using it. I always use the term when I'm speaking about the biblical narrative. At times, I use the term ancient Near Eastern culture because you can see the continuity at times and the residual effects. But once you get to the Hebraic culture, you start to see slight differences and changes where you start to see uh, people are spoken about and dealt with in a more humane way, right? Um, and it's that reason because time has passed, right? So the longer how it should go, societies or cultures that last longer, you are supposed to uh become better or more a civilized people
more
the
sedentary.
longer you are around, right? And so this is why we start to see subtle changes and moving away, right? So from things of old, right? But you can still see little continuities and little droplets of these things that still exist. Shout out to my brother Gideon, Israel, man. Peace. Good to see you, brother.
Definitely
Shalom,
cultural.
shalom, shalom, y'all, brother.
Definitely cultural continuation. Would you say the Israelite culture is just a cultural continuation of a earlier Amorite culture, possibly?
I say I'm willing to say about 70%.
About 70%.
I'm willing to say about 70%.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing
Hey,
that
Elder
changes,
Yara,
yes, sir.
you didn't really touch the nerve, man. We got the king of consciousness in the building, man. You didn't
What?
you didn't
Where?
really you didn't
Oh,
really
Si.
touch the nerve today, brother.
Be
Si, you
careful,
building.
side that mute. Well,
What's
your mute
good,
button
Elder?
still might work, but be
Look,
careful.
look, I'm gonna
What's
let you
good,
and
Elder
King
Si?
J finish. We're gonna go to Gideon. We're gonna say the king of consciousness for last.
Yeah, no doubt. Do he got time to hang around? I know he be dipping in and dipping out. You got time, Si?
You got time, Si? You need to go now.
You
All right,
muted
Nah,
go
yourself.
nah,
ahead.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm just relaxing.
Oh,
I'm listening to
okay, okay.
Yara go in and
Yeah,
do
I
his
know you be
thing.
busy. I know you be
Yeah,
busy. What's up, Si? What's
everything
up?
cool, man. I see this where
What's
you
good,
hiding
Elder?
out at over here.
Nah,
Well, y'all
nah,
agree.
man. Man, I'm so.
That's funny.
That's funny,
Yeah.
man. You can't
Hey, Si,
hide, man. You
you
can't
know,
hide.
Jose backed out of our debates, huh?
Oh man, I didn't know that. He backed out.
You know
He
he
backed
would.
out.
Hey yo, see when they back out, you gotta put them on punishment for a minute, man. You can't be popping up. That's what I did to the other brother, man. You know.
Yeah, he backed out. He said I was hitting him in his head too hard, man. He said he
Why he
couldn't do it.
backed out of that though? I thought he had that.
Man, listen.
But I was telling him, I said, yo, this is a crazy topic. But DMG got
Yeah,
something up his sleeves. I said that. I said he got something.
Oh, they had the
look,
better argument, but he didn't know how to articulate it.
Damn, man. So I
yeah.
mean, DMG, I could probably find somebody for you if you want that debate, that
Yeah,
topic.
see if you can find somebody, because my presentation done. I was gonna ask you, can I still come on and do the presentation?
Yeah,
Let
yeah,
me,
hell yeah.
let me do it.
You
Uh-oh.
want to smoke with DMG?
I'll take up. So DMG, you was taking an affirmative.
I'll tell you. So the title was Christianity forced on African American slaves? I'm
I would
taking
take
the
the.
negative.
I want to take the
I'm
affirmative on
taking the
that.
negative.
Yeah, I want to take
Yep,
the
you get
affirmative on that,
it. Okay.
and
Okay.
I think that'd be easy because
How,
DMG,
how long you need?
your shit already ready. I'm gonna probably argue a different angle than Jose. Could you give me over? Can we do like over the holidays? You know, the 4th is Saturday, so maybe like the 6th or the 7th.
Oh man.
We
Yeah,
had it set up for Friday. So if we can do
I'm thinking Monday
anytime
maybe.
next weekend, it'll be good.
Next weekend after that. So you thinking probably like the 12th or 13th probably.
No. I was saying next weekend will
Oh,
be good. But if we need to push it to the weekend after, that's fine.
okay, yeah, that'll give me plenty time. That give me plenty time to set up a nice little PowerPoint. We doing the 312 minute rounds?
So what I usually do, we was doing it over here, but we was going to simulcast on side channel. I usually do 2 10-minute rounds each, and then a 10-minute Q&A, 3-minute opening, 3-minute closing. But if Si want to switch it up, we'll figure it out.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be love. That'd be an honor for me for sure. I'll make sure I'll be ready for you.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Okay.
All right, let me
Hey,
quit
that's fire
distracting
right there.
y'all. Let me quit distracting y'all from Sarnetta. But yeah, we definitely do that. Do me a favor, King J. I'm gonna put my number in the private chat. Send me a picture. I'm gonna make a flyer.
Say less. Say less.
Yeah, that's dope right there.
All right, yes, love.
All right, you and Elder Yara can finish up so we can get to Gideon about this particular topic.
Okay. Yeah, Rob. So back with the Emirate, so you say 70-30. The other 30% probably you argue will be just their own revisionist part of it, adding their own regional variation, dialect, their own little flair to it. But the root of it.
Yeah, because I give about 20. I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna give about 20% of that to 20% of that to migration,
Migration.
and then I'm gonna give about 10% of that to cultural memory.
Cultural memory. Yeah, and we see it. They finna be
Yeah.
like, man, yeah, I see it.
They
And
gonna
it's
argue.
happening.
People gonna argue with me. You know, Israelites, Christians, they gonna argue with me, but
Yeah, and we talked about it just
on a
like how
scale.
they dropped with the modifier Yahweh and the Yahweh. How
Mm-hmm.
we talked about that, and possibly Yahweh is just the modifier being deified as the Elyon.
Yeah, that's right. It's a power, and that's
And,
why
and
you can see Yahweh's name on the land. You can see His name on the mountain. His name is on the
Mhm.
people. You see
Mhm.
what I'm saying? His name is on the Torah. It's on the Word. So it's a power. It's a
To
power.
exist, he exists to exist.
Hmm.
Uh, Yahweh Hadad, Yahweh
Hmm.
Elu. It could be Yahweh Baal. It could
Yeah,
be Yahweh anything.
yeah. And in my study, what I've done is to just a real quick. Because Michael Eisner talks about this two powers in heaven, I take it a step further. I
Uh,
don't think Michael Heisner goes as far as I do, um,
mhm.
and in dealing with this particular topic, um, because it is the basis, this two power concept that Michael Heisner talks about.
Did he talk about the God of the mountain at
Yep,
all?
yep.
Yeah.
He talks about the God of the, he talks about all of that, and so what he does is he separates Yahweh from El.
Yes. You have
That's the
to.
two powers.
You have to.
But then Christianity picks that up, and I think
Mhm.
not really in a way that maybe they understand it, but
If
they
they
actually
understood.
say it. And so when you have that conversation in the scripture where it says, "He has prepared me a body," you know,
Hmm.
I'm working to a point where I'm postulating that that is a conversation between Yahweh and El, and then it is
Hmm.
Yahweh who's asking to have a
For the
body
body.
prepared, and so that he can come and live, and which is where we get the term in Isaiah, Emmanuel, God
Yeah.
among us, right?
Because
And so,
yep. Go ahead.
in their understanding, to them, that's is Jesus, right?
Hmm.
So
Then
that's
we see that in Deuteronomy 32:8, where Yahweh is introduced into the pantheon as
he's
well
introduced into the pantheon in that point, right?
as
And
as
then
a son of.
he's given absolutely, and he's given preeminence. He's
Hmm.
given preeminence over the other deities,
Hmm.
right? By El. And so then after that,
Pantheon reduction.
yep,
All
pantheon
right,
reduction.
brothers. All right,
And then you
brothers. We
start to
gotta
see.
we gotta get to Gideon,
Yep, yep.
Shanetta, and then Jose just came up on the panel.
Go ahead.
Shalom, shalom, brothers. All
Shalom,
praise to the
shalom.
Most High in the name of Yeshua.
All praises.
Good information, my brother. You know, Yahweh always coming with that fire. You know, tanks on the ground.
That's right. Tanks on the ground, no doubt.
I ain't gonna be long because the only thing Jose should be up here for, my brother Jose, is to say amen to everything DMG said. You know, this ain't the time to put up a fight. The fight was scheduled. So, let that be understood. And then, we gonna pass it to Sai, because Sai, he likes to get it in with this topic. And his power reaches far, so he still might have some controls over there. He got a lot of, yeah, man, good presentation, bro. There's
I
a lot of
appreciate that.
laws in the Torah
Yes,
that are safeguarded, that safeguards against bad interpretation.
yes.
And the one where you're speaking about great, that's one of them. If a person chooses to take that interpretation as great, you will see several other laws that you discuss. I think you say Leviticus 19, we have Deuteronomy 20,
Hmm.
you should not steal a person, you should not
Yep.
steal. So all those safeguards go against if you still have a bad interpretation of, that verse about great. So good presentation. King J, what I would say to King J, I know he have a lot of headaches because he be trying to think too hard. My brother, the Amorite law is derived from the law that Noah gave his sons. That's the only correlation that we will see with the Torah. The
Hmm.
Torah is an unbiased document, whereas the Code of Hammurabi is littered with biasness. So you might want to look back on that some more, bro. And with that, I yield the mic. Peace, appreciate it, DMG.
Hey, peace out. Good to hear from you, man.
My bad, y'all. I was muted. Let's go to the king of consciousness, Sarnetta in the building.
Peace. What's going on with you, my brother DMG? Of course, my brother Yara, brother Gideon. And I first have to say that I am so disappointed and upset at my brother Jose Francis have ducked out of the debate. We don't do that over here. We don't be doing stuff like that. You know, you got a loud bark, brother Jose. I'm not banging on you, Jose. I'm just saying, hopefully for the future, you can stand on 10 toes, brother, and fight it out, man. Even if you lose, it'll make you better for the next round, for the next debate. But you got to fight it out, brother. You can't just give up the torch like that, man. You didn't even try. And that right there, to me, would have been a landslide for you. I don't know what spooked you or what scared you. I don't know what DMG said to pull your panties down. I don't know.
Jeez.
I don't know. You know what happened? Jose?
Listen, I honestly had changed my view on the topic, and I didn't want to do a disingenuous debate. I'm gonna take all the talk, but I'm not gonna do a disingenuous debate just to do a debate. I'm gonna take all the talk. I'm with you. I'll admit I defaulted.
Jose, tell them why you changed your view, Jose. Tell them why you changed your view.
I changed my view because I realized.
Because you realize what?
Don't fade out on me now. Don't fade out on me now.
Yeah, well, I think King J might pick up that torch and run with that.
Most definitely.
No. The facts wasn't lining up, something that I'm not going to do a disingenuous debate just to prove a point. I don't think I should do that.
Okay.
Yeah, I can respect that.
I just want everybody to know.
He ain't been through the struggle.
I just want everybody to know. Shout out to my brother Jose. And I know people want me to kill him. I know people want me to kill my brother Jose, but I'm actually proud of him for recognizing he was in over his head and saying, look,
hey, fact.
I don't want that infamous smoke. I don't want that infamous smoke. I respect that.
Nah. I didn't say
that.
I said
King J gonna show you how to do it, man.
That's what I said, DMG. I said we could do another debate on another topic, but I'm gonna concede this one to you as an honest man, because it don't make no sense to go and make.
Hey, I can respect that.
Oh man, DMG.
Hallelujah.
I know you're disappointed, Saab, but there's gonna be one in the future, and I'm gonna be more careful on the topics that I choose.
Okay, I got you. I think that would have been a good
topic. Yeah.
I don't know what the hell happened to you on that, man.
Good topic.
I think you said it though, King J. You gotta have some sense of you know.
Yeah. Been through it.
Been through the struggle.
Yeah. As for my little brother Yara, critical analysis, why the Bible doesn't condone grape. I mean, one thing you're gonna have to do is stop listening to those who are believers, because the job of the believer is that they think they are defending the Most High. You think you are defending the Most High when you do that, but you're not. Graping is evil. We know that. Who created evil? The Most High God of the Bible. That's who created evil. Without the Most High creating the evil, there'd be no evil on the planet. And so if I was to ask GMS, that's why I respect them. When they get up there and teach, they will tell you, yes, the Bible do condone graping. If I was to call Maharakah, and y'all know who that is, my brother, y'all know who Maharakah is. He would say, yes, the Most High condone graping in the Bible. When you look at the scripture, Deuteronomy 10 verse Deuteronomy 21.
21:10.
Yeah, damn, I'm getting calls right now. When you look at the it's just knocking me off. 21 verse 10 to 14. It's telling you right there. When you go to the last scripture of 14, it's saying that you can let her go because you have what? Violated her. Why would they say you violated her if you didn't grape her? If you didn't grape her, they wouldn't use the word violated, or they would use the word humble her. And then they tell you can let her go if you want to. Don't sell her for nothing. Here's a slave. This woman is a slave. And not only do the Most High condone it, the Most High was down with it. I know y'all be like, oh, hold up, son. Now you're going crazy. The Most High was down with the graping process. What did he do? He said, he called out, I'm paraphrasing, he called out the Israelites and said, yo, I have delivered them unto you. Who did he deliver unto them? He delivered the enemies unto the Israelites. And he said, he said, kill them all. But if you see a beautiful young one amongst them, 10 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old, and she looking beautiful, save her for yourself. Bring her home. Lock her down for 30 days. And then you could go up in her. Let her mourn her mother and father since you have killed them. Let her mourn. And then you go up in her and make her your wife. And so when you hear them words, make her your wife, y'all say, oh, see, look, the Most High said we could make her the wife. She was a wife. What woman today you know is going to be the wife of the husband of a man who killed their mother and father? And don't say that was years ago. That was back then. The Bible still counts for today. Otherwise, y'all wouldn't be reading it today. The Lord count for today. Otherwise, you wouldn't be reading it today. So don't say that was back then. No, it's still now. So what? And I ain't gonna go long. I'm gonna pause right there and just watch Yara clean this whole thing up. Just watch.
Yeah,
Elder Yara, I want you to respond, and then I'm gonna go to my man Ben E.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me say this. Shout out to Elder Sonetta, man. I appreciate Simon and everything you do for the community, man. I don't say that enough, but man, I appreciate you for it. Sonetta, you're right on the point when you say if it was good in the Bible, then it should be good now. I agree with you with that 100%. But what good are we talking about? What was good in regards to morality in the Bible back then? The morality does still stand today. When you talk about grape, grape in the Bible is immoral. That's why it says it's punishable by death. When it talks about, and I did this in my presentation, and I'm glad you clipped on the end of this side. That's why in the presentation, when I talks about the word order, it talks about how when the word violate, when it's used in the structure, versus two different aspects of the understanding of what is grape and what is not grape. In the understanding of Dinah versus the understanding of Tamar, in these two things, we understand where they use the word humble, where one is not grape and one is considered an instance of grape, right? But the word order changes when the word humble comes before the action or if it comes after the action. And in the stance of Tamar, which we know was an instance of grape, it comes before. So that's an instance. And that was, we seen by Absalom, according to the law, punished by death. The grapist was killed. That's a fact. But in the instance of Dinah, when the same word is used, humble, is used after the fact of the action, which means that there was no grape there. This is in the presentation. Just go back a few hours, and anybody who sees Scrubber, you'll see it. Now, when we talk about Isaiah chapter 45, verse 7, so that I'm going to keep beating you up with this. The word for evil there is Ra. It's a reason why it's used, right? In the Hebrew, right? That is a immoral understanding, right? That deals with God's judgment against immorality. That's it.
We see it used for like calamity,
Yes,
disaster, evil.
yes. And it says
Wow.
judgment. And it specifically goes back to the 10 plagues of Egypt, when we see natural disasters are used to judge the people of ancient Kemet for their transgressions against the children of Israel. So calamity or natural disasters are used against those people in judgment. That's what Isaiah chapter 45, verse 7 is talking about. That he creates good and evil. This is why we then get in the scripture where he talks about the Most High God brings evil upon the evildoers. So if he was one
Mhm.
who would be in promoting immorality, why would he judge immorality with immorality? That makes no sense, right? So when we talk about Isaiah chapter 45, verse 7, we have to look at those terms, those usages in its context, right? But I do agree with you. The morality that stands in the scripture, in the Torah, does still stand today, right?
So you think the word disaster fits more better than evil? You know,
Yeah, yeah,
King J,
that's
King
the
J,
problem understanding.
King J. Let me respond real quick to my brother Yara.
Yes,
go ahead,
sir.
man.
Brother Yara, we got to stop the bull crap, man. We got to stop this because you use the word immoral. You keep saying that is immoral. But guess what? The God of the Bible is immoral.
Mm-hmm.
The God of the Bible deals with hatred. The God of the Bible deals with all kind of stuff. Everything he tells us not to do, he turns around and do it. He's supposed to be the example. He condoned lies. A flying angel came to him and said, I will be a lion spirit in the mouth of all those prophets. And the Most High backed them up and said, go forth and do so. I got you. I got your back. So the Most High also condones lying. The Most High also condones homosexuality. Now I know you're gonna say, well, no. In the book it says man should not lay with man as he lay with mankind. But see, the book it speaks of a double tongue. It speaks double tongue, brother, because I can show you Romans 1, verse 26, where the Most High see these two women together and they want to be lesbians. And then what do the Most High do? Instead of the Most High sending down a spirit so that they could cleanse and be cool, he don't do that. He sends down a spirit to harden their hearts so that they will forever be lesbians, brother. Think about that right there. So it's showing you that the Most High is not just loving God, not just a righteous God, but it also gets in the mud, it gets in the dirt, it gets into all of that. And that's only because y'all don't know who God is. And I'm going to tell you one more time. You and humans are the gods of the earth. Humans are the devils of the earth. You have a higher self, which is God consciousness, and you have a lower self, which is wicked and evil. And that exists within every human being on the planet. And that's why you never could see yourself, because you don't know that you are the gods of the planet. You have never seen God until you look in the mirror. I mean, I'm going to fall back, man, and just let Yara keep on trying to wiggle his way out of this. And not only that, one more thing, Yara, in closing. What did the Most High do to one of David's wives? Not one of them, but damn near all of his wives. He said to David, because you have violated another woman, paraphrasing, and you have mounted her, committing adultery. Guess what I'm going to do? And this is the Most High talking. He said, I'm going to take your wife and put her on the roof, and and he said, you did it in secret, but I'm going to let everybody see that your wife get mounted by other men. That's your God. Is that a righteous God? Is that a humble God, Brother Yara? Or is that a wicked God, a vicious God, a God that will get payback? Come on, brother, stop playing with me. God allowed David's wife to be raped, not great, but to be mounted by other men, brother. Stop
Elder
playing.
Yara, before you respond to the Godfather, to the King of Consciousness, I gotta go to my brother Eden.
Yeah,
Ben
no
Eden.
doubt.
Go ahead, Ben.
Hey, peace to everybody. Yeah, no. Listen. Yara is pretty slick. Sai's completely right. Deuteronomy 21:10, and then in Numbers, it's talking about captives. Now let's make something clear. By the way, the question is already an issue. Does the Bible condone? See, but you're thinking the Bible as one text or as one written cohesion of a piece of literature. The better question is, are there texts within the Bible that condones grape, sorry. And it absolutely does, because this isn't a cohesive piece of literature. You have different authors who have different perspectives on particular points. So, but as Deuteronomy 21:10 talks, and as we see in Numbers, it's talking about what do you do with captive women. And it's most obviously what we know. Now, the term ana is used in translations to kind of ease the reader. It can mean humble, but it can mean a lot of other things. It can mean force, it can mean ravage, it can mean all those other things. So in a particular text, when we're talking about the Bible, in a particular text, you have to read it particularly in the context. So to just overall say the Bible doesn't condone grape is not a fair thing to say. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, let me respond because I've been waiting to respond to you on a number of issues.
But before you respond to him, let me say that to my man King Hurt in the chat. King Hurt, you say your presentation went over our head. It ain't a person that saw my rebuttal to your presentation that didn't say I rebutted it point by point. Right. So if you want to debate that issue, me and you can debate it. If you want to discuss it, we can discuss it. If you want to do a rebuttal to my presentation, you got carte blanche to do it. I have Brother Jose host it. But you in the chat doing a lot of flapping. Let's get in the ring. Go ahead, Elder Yara.
Yeah, no doubt. Okay, so Ben Eaton, first of all, I'm not one that looks at the Bible as as one single book. I look at it as what it's called. It's a Bible. It's a bibliography. It's a collection of books. If you follow me, you would understand that I say it often. But number two, let's go with your premise, right? If we have to look at it, right, based on just one single text, right, based on that there are specific authors that would look at the concept of grape differently, where one would condone it and possibly one may not condone it or whatever. Can you provide us with an author in the biblical text that does, you say, emphatically condones it?
That's not what I said. That's not what I said.
Okay,
I said if you read you have to evaluate the text by its individual context, on its individual merit.
Yeah, so I'm asking, by its individual merit, which author would agree with the concept of grape?
Okay, I can tell you which part of the text agrees with the concept of war brides.
That's not what I asked you. See, this
so
is
do
what
war brides.
Hold on, brother. Hold on. This is what I said earlier, DMG, about sunken cost fallacy. It doesn't matter what you show them; they're simply going to argue. Now, he wants to argue about war bride. I didn't argue him about I didn't ask him about war brides. I asked him which author agrees in the Bible with the concept of grape.
Well, see, hold on, Yara, because I don't want y'all to talk over each other's head. Because real quick, Ben Eden, because I'm not on your side, but I want y'all to understand, because you framed your question in a certain way, specifically not in mention of author. You specifically said text, and frame the Bible in a way that it's not an authorship of a Bible, but a collection of texts. So, Yara, would you mind not including the word author in your question?
Yeah, I could do that.
Okay.
That's easy. That's even better, actually.
And I
So,
already answered that.
so actually, you did not. So when he talks about the concept of war brides, right? The concept of war brides, and I showed this in the text, right? I showed this in my presentation. What happens? What is the status of a war bride when she's betrothed or married to an Israelite man? What is her status?
How do a war bride become a war bride?
Listen.
By
That's not the
force, right?
question I
By
asked you.
force, by slavery.
Well,
That's not the question.
Yara is
Come on,
30 days. He has to wait 30 days. And
Right.
then after that, he can decide on if he wants to keep her or not.
can
Right.
we stop pretending? Like, can we
Right.
stop
Hold
pretending?
on.
Listen, you see it.
Hey, bro, listen. We're talking. That's what the text says.
Hey,
Chill
let's
out.
do one mic. Let's do one
Right.
mic.
That's what the
Elder
text says.
Yara responding. Everybody can respond back to him. We gonna go in order.
Yeah, that's what the text says. So in times, so in time, so in times of war, right? Where in the context of society of its day, where women had no property rights, where women didn't have rights to even their own bodies, right? That at points in time, a woman or a young child or a young woman left to herself had less of a chance surviving in her own culture.
That's a fact.
Can I share my
So,
screen?
so we can do that. We'll share screens all day because I already did this in
Well,
the
now remember I
text.
said question or comment.
Yeah.
You're gonna respond to either. This is not a debate, but if you want to debate them,
Man,
you can debate them
man,
right here. And we got Sonetta in the building. You can debate them over on the HOK.
Hey,
No, you're right. I'm sorry, MJ. I'm sorry. My apologies. Go ahead, y'all.
Yeah.
No, you good. No apology necessary. You
Yeah,
good.
no apology necessary. Yeah, and I'm willing to debate you on that context, on that concept, even if you just want to deal with war brides, right?
All right.
So,
Hey, go ahead, Yara. My bad.
Go ahead, DMG.
No, I was gonna say we got my man Herc in the building. Go ahead, Herc.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. He said, "Go ahead, Hurt. Go ahead."
I know. Finish.
Oh,
Yara.
okay,
Herc,
yeah.
Herc,
So
after Yara finish you up.
right. So it was more detrimental for a woman or a female child to be left alone. Watch this. I'm gonna give some of y'all something practical to today, right? That y'all can understand. If any of y'all are familiar with the Game of Thrones, have y'all ever watched that series? Just give me one person who's watched the series.
Of course.
Yeah,
Okay.
we all watch.
Okay. The young girl that survived, the little bitty girl throughout the show, right? She had to hide her identity. Why did she have to go throughout almost the whole show disguising herself as a male child?
Because she would have got ravished.
Exactly. She would have been because they had no value other than sexual value in making children at the time. She'd have been taken, she would have been distraught, she would have been raped, abused many times. The reason why that's even a storyline, because we know in ancient times, that's how the woman or a female child was viewed. So she had to position herself as a female. We can take this all the way back into ancient Kemet, right? Even when we sing the Queen Hatshepsut, right? Why does she have to position herself as a male? Because of the value of women.
I'm gonna back you up right quick, Yara, and then I'm gonna go to my man Herc just in case he ain't got a lot of time.
Yeah, no doubt.
Because I know he chomping at the bit to get at me, right? So one of the you heard of the criterion of embarrassment, right?
I love that one.
So one of the reasons why a lot of people give credence to the resurrection of Christ, and not that it happened, but that the people who espouse it believe it happened, is because there were women witnesses, and no one would even put that forth because women weren't taken seriously.
Facts. That's a dagger.
But my man Hurt, it's on you, bro.
Yeah, I know. Peace, what's going on, fam? How y'all guys doing? How you guys doing?
Peace, family.
Yeah, you guys are on a different topic, but yeah, I popped up because I know. I just popped up because of what the presentation from DMG. So we got. Yeah, I don't want to take a lot of time because we can get into it on another day. The only pushback I got for y'all is that I think that you confuse. This is what I mean by this. Christianity is a European religion because you confusing ancient times. You said this is something that happens in ancient times with children. You know what I'm saying? When you talk about the female children and stuff, but you're confusing Western behavior and culture with African culture. And I've never read a story. I mean, I could be wrong, but you don't see that they treat children that way.
I agree with that. I agree with that point.
Before, listen, I'm talking about before the Arabs and before the Europeans came, you don't see that and how they treating children the same way they do in Europe. So that's why I said when you're looking at Christianity, you're basically looking at it. It was transformed into a European religion. It started out in Africa. It started out in the Levant, but it went through a transformation. And the response that DMG gave me in the video was completely off. You didn't deal with any of the subjects or any of the material that I put forth. You didn't even deal with like my presentation at all. So that's why I said it went over you guys' head because you guys are talking about topics that I didn't even bring up. And then you would say stuff that I already said that I already agree. So yeah, I mean, that's why I popped on so we could get it. So I could come up one day so I could just literally show you because it don't even take long to show you how you was off in the presentation, and it just it didn't even. It was not that it wasn't coherent, but it just didn't even. It wasn't even on like the subject line of what I was talking about. So that's why it's for. I guess you guys wasn't understanding my point of it being a Eurocentric. When I say it's a Eurocentric religion, I'm not looking at it like after it went through Europe. You got to look at it before it went through Europe, before Constantine, and when Constantine took it over, and then when it went through Europe and when it came out. All of that is a part of it, and that's what I tried to show. But I guess it didn't hold up.
I heard. Hey, listen, you can schedule something with me or Jose, man. Come on and break down either what I missed in your presentation or why my presentation was garbage. And you got carte blanche.
Definitely, we definitely set it up. No problem, guys. No problem.
All right, we got another person on. I don't know. What they say, Sapphire TOTG. Who's this?
Yeah, that's Yerm Yahoo.
Yerm Yahoo. Go ahead, brother. My bad, bro.
Yeah, peace and blessings, Kokovo Lake, Hashem Malek, Ha'ulam. I just want to say, first and foremost, Torah DMG for letting me up on the stage. Elder Yara, salute to you, Elder, and everybody else on the panel. Elder Yara, great presentation, as usual. This is why they hate the Hebrews, because we bring the truth to the light. Okay, you got brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying, that likes to say, oh, the Bible, it agrees with this, that, and the third. This only lets you know that person's mindset. Because throughout the Torah, we see that grape is not allowed. In fact, grape is considered kidnap or even murder. So how can we sit here and then say the Bible condones this? I ain't gonna speak for long. I just wanted to say that because I seen a couple people's hopped on, you know what I'm saying? I see we got the battle, heating up. Elder Yara, great presentation. I'm gonna fall back. Most definitely.
Right on, brother. Glad you can hit the panel. Me and you gonna have to link up as well, bro.
Yeah, no doubt.
Oh yeah, most
Definitely,
definitely. I'm gonna shoot you the email.
You got my email?
No.
I'm gonna put it in the
But
private chat. My number in the private chat too.
all right, bet.
All right, bro. Hey, listen, who up next? I see my man Ben burnt out. Sinetta, you want to go? King J, Gideon, Jose.
Yeah, real quick for
Like to
you.
say real quick
Go ahead.
that how y'all was touching on and how Yara was touching on the fact that people would say you're marrying the people who kill your family, like you're marrying them. But just based on history, and like they were saying, how women lived during that time, it's easily understandable to see that in many cases with a lot of Egyptian pharaohs, all the way up to the times of the War of the Roses, where the people who killed her family, she married them. So that happens all the time. That happens even in our neighborhoods. Like, I've known women that dated guys that
That's a
killed
great point.
family members they had, so you'll be surprised and I don't want to say it to slight women, but you will be surprised what women will do, because you got to understand, like they were saying, the economy of woman, when we don't have none of these creature comforts, her economy is her virtue. So, you got to keep that in mind. And, men protected that, and, men, always had that in mind when they was dealing with women. So, I just want to touch on that.
All right, go ahead, King J.
Yep, just to you, brother DMG, because I'm not familiar with your talking point shit on the subject, but would you say Christianity existed in West Africa before the transatlantic slave trade?
There's some evidence that it did,
There's some evidence that it did,
but that's not my talking point though.
that's not none of your talking point. Okay.
Nah,
What?
I put my talking points on the table, bro. I'm saying this. When we talk about Christianity, we got a definition for what Christianity is.
Okay.
And so when I look at the enslaver, when I look at what our enslaved ancestors said out of their mouths, what the enslaver gave them don't qualify as Christianity. I use this example. Anybody can respond. If I take the Kemetic text, if I take the Quran, if I cherry pick spells, scriptures, surahs out of those texts, and I try to put them over as Islam or the Kemetic tradition, nobody in their right mind today would say that's the totality of the Kemetic tradition, especially if I'm only selecting things that push the agenda I'm trying to put forth. And anybody in their right mind will see through that.
Well,
But
now
for
let
some
me.
reason, when it comes to Christianity, we know for a fact they had the slave Bible in the Caribbean. They had a similar tactic here in the States where they would cherry pick scriptures. They never gave them the whole corpus of the text. It wasn't until after 1800 that our ancestors actually got the whole corpus of the text, and they themselves made up their minds whether they was going to be Christians or not, to the point where they snuck out under the cover of night, the invisible institution. If you don't know what it is, look it up. But I ain't saying that to you, King J. The invisible institution. My thing is, if it was mandatory, if they forced it, why did they have to sneak and do it? What they were given don't even qualify as Christianity. Never mind the people who gave it to them. They don't qualify as Christians. We got a clean glass and we got a dirty glass. We got the enslaver who enslaved our ancestors and what they were saying, claiming to be Christians. We got the abolitionists who helped our ancestors gain their freedom, who said they was Christians. One of these people perpetrating a fraud. So we can talk about it.
Yeah, I mean that's a pretty. I mean, I understand that, but I would hit you with 3 things. I would talk about manifest destiny and how they felt as if they had the right to do such a thing. We could talk about the papal bulls, right? We could talk about that for sure. I probably will talk about the papal bulls for sure and manifest destiny. I would definitely would talk about the ability to read and the ability for the slave did not have the ability to read. So that was something that the master kept from the slave. So their
So, go ahead, finish up, bro. My bad.
their understanding that Christianity was right on par to what it's always been. That to them we were property, right, and deserve to be so. And that's always been since its conception, since these papal papers. I would start from there and come back and show how that it's always been their agenda.
Well, notice what you said though. You brought up literacy, and that had a lot to do with it. But that's part of that's gonna go in my favor as well.
That's
But
control.
you talked about the papal bulls. You talked about manifest destiny, but ain't none of that Christianity.
It's not
But
Christianity.
remember, we not talking about
Whoa.
real quick. We not talking about what so-called Christians did. We not
So
even
what was so what?
talking
How
about.
can
We
it not
talk
be
about
Christian?
as it is written.
I'm
How
gonna
can it
read you something right quick, bro. And
as it?
I'm gonna read you something right quick.
Mm-hmm.
And if you still feel like that was Christianity, then we got a debate. And
Let me go.
I'm
Let me go
not
to the
saying
paper.
that to dismiss your talking points. I'm saying if we're gonna debate it, we should probably just save it for the debate. Because
We just it's just like little jab. I just wanted to see where you was at with it. But
yeah, for sure. Because I think a lot of people feel like because so-called Christians did a thing that somehow qualifies as Christianity.
well, how are they not?
And
If Christians did it, how is it not? You said Christians did it, so how is?
right, but that's just like saying
May I
so
interject one time?
Muslims. Real quick, I'm gonna say this, and this a question to King J. Muslims killed Malcolm X. Is that Islam?
No, that's not representation. That's not a good representation of what Islam would be. Of course not.
Exactly. Well, go ahead and respond to what I said,
You
King
always,
J.
you always have sensationalists amongst any group or organization. It's going to be radicalists
So I
or
just wanted to say this, as far as because we keep
Go ahead,
saying
my brother.
Christianity. Okay, so we keep saying Christianity, or King J is saying Christianity when he mentioned the papal bull. But the
yes.
papal bull is not Christianity. The
What
papal
is it?
bull is what you would call Catholicism. Those were Catholics. A
So did they
Christian
make them?
is
Did they make them convert to Catholicism or Christianity? Was that what did they make them convert to?
Yes. They made it
Huh?
convert to Catholicism.
Catholicism.
Though it's the
The
form of
slaves in
Christianity.
No.
Louisiana had to
Hold
be
on, brother.
Catholics.
Hold on,
Catholicism is a
brother.
form of Christianity.
Right. So Catholicism is a form of Christianity. That's not Christianity, because true
What?
Christianity is to be Christ-like. So if they're not following the way which is written, which was given to us in the testimonies of the disciples, then there is no ground to call this particular people true Christians. Okay. So I just wanted to try to help clear that up, because we keep saying Christian when we need to be looking at Catholicism. That's something totally different. I mean, it's Christianity, but it's something totally different. It's a whole different form of
I
worship.
appreciate you, bro. But listen, King J, send me a
Mm-hmm.
picture. I'm finna work on that.
Oh yeah, we on.
Thumbnail.
We
I'm gonna
on for
send
that.
it to Saab. We gonna go
Okay,
and have us a debate, bro.
lock it in for sure. I'm gonna send you the pic.
Sarnetta, did you want to respond to anything you heard? All right. Jose, you want to respond to anything, brother?
Yeah, I do. Hatshepsut did not disguise herself as a man, because we understand from the text she was married to an Asut. She was a Hemet Nesut Beret, which means she was the bloodline. She was the first wife and the queen. So when she became king, she acted that way because that's how African culture demanded her to act. They were always aware that she was a woman. Technically, all right, she was the queen and the king. She didn't disguise herself. She acted in the role literally. So she dressed that way because she had to do it based on culture. But everyone knew she was a woman because the text said she was married to Anasut before. That's how she was able to come in and take over. Based on her marriage to Anasut, she was the one who carried the royal bloodline. And just so you guys know, you wouldn't be disappointed, Sanetta, because we have some other things in the pipeline for sure. And I'm definitely going to take on those other things. So you didn't really miss out on anything, Sanetta. We definitely have something in the pipeline that I think you're going to love. Just so you guys know, I'm not out of the debate game. So we have some other things coming up soon.
Anybody want to respond to Brother Jose?
Thank you, Sister Mika. Just want to shout out to Sister Mika. Appreciate you. Again, listen, we know that the reason Hatshepsut had to dress as a man is because she was not respected as a woman. She didn't even respect herself as a woman. That's why she
You
wore
don't know
the
that,
man's
Yara.
get.
You don't know
Listen,
that.
we do know that.
Jose, one
Hold on,
mic.
Jose.
One
Listen.
mic, Jose.
Yeah, listen. We do listen, we do know that. That's why she never describes herself as a female. And number two, we wouldn't even know of her because they tried to erase her from the Egyptian record. Had they not found a tomb they weren't looking for that mentioned her by name. So these are things that we know in ancient Near Eastern culture. We can go back even in the Levant, even in Kemetic culture. Women were regulated. They were not. They even though Kemetic lovers, y'all try to say that women had the same class, held the same class status as men. That is not true. We have the primaries to support that. That is not true. Um, and so, but talking about things in ancient Eastern culture, just going back that far in antiquity, women did not have the same rights as men. They were not valued as men. We still see the remnants of that today in a lot of ancient Near Eastern cultures, even in a lot of Arabic cultures. We still see that, right? I mean, we still have that argument today in the United States.
She
It's
had
still
the
an
most.
argument.
She had the
Yeah,
most protection in her father's home.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that's and it's nothing. Listen, it doesn't have to be an indictment against the Bible and the scripture because it's reflecting the truth of what the culture was. But somehow, because it's in the Bible, you guys simply attempt to dismiss it when it's reflective of what all of the cultures say in various texts. I don't know why we have to do that. So
Yeah,
I
it's all Near Eastern.
yeah, I just don't know
That's the
why
way
we
to
have.
sum it up. Just say Near Eastern studies, Near Eastern
Yeah,
culture.
that's
You
why I was
know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
ancient Near Eastern.
Hebrew,
Yeah,
Hebrew is that.
that's what it's
And,
that.
and
That's
over
all
different
culture.
time periods and over different, I'm not taking over the mic, but over time periods is different. It evolves over different things.
Yeah, it just it
Hey,
happens that way, and it's
real
not even
quick.
until we get to way later, real quick, that we get
Go ahead.
way later in Western society, right,
Mm-hmm.
and dealing with Greeks that we even see the term
Hebrew.
RAPE exist.
Ah, okay.
The term
Yeah.
rape does not even exist prior to the Greeks and the Romans coming on the scene, and I'm talking about before I would say before the uh not even before the first century.
Mhm.
Hey, listen, real quick. I'm going to go around. We're going to save Elder Yara for last because this was his show. We almost at 3 hours. Let everybody close out. If you got anything you want to promote, we got like 34 people in the building. You can promote it. Listen, if you haven't subscribed, I don't know what you're waiting for. I'm trying to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of July. I ain't got much to go. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you tell a friend to subscribe. That being said, me and King J will be debating, was Christianity forced on African-American slaves? We're going to let y'all know when that's going to happen. We're going to do that on the HOK and right here on Paradigm Shift TV 314. First, I'm going to go to my man Urim Yahoo. Then we're going to go to Gideon. We're going to go to King J, Sinetta, then Elder Yara. Go ahead, my bro.
Right. Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
All right. Koka Volek or Hashem Melech Haolam. Peace and blessings, everybody. DMG, thank you for letting me on. Did you get my text? I just sent the text out to you. Elder Yara, it's always a pleasure to see you, man. Come and demonstrate. Brother Gideon. King J.
I got you, brother.
Yes, sir. King J, you another one. Side Netter, man, I definitely got to come grace the platform. You know what I'm saying? We got to get it in because, you know, we got to talk about your ideology when it comes to the Bible. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to the Bible, we got to definitely sit down and talk about it. Yeah, you know, but with that, shalom, Uvaka, peace and blessings. I'm out.
No doubt, no doubt. My brother Gideon.
Yeah, man, I just want to give all praises to the Most High, man. Shalom to all my brothers, man. Shalom to my brother in arms, Elder Yara. Shalom to Sapphire, Yahoo, everybody on the panel. And, you know, give all praises, man. You know, shalom.
All praises, shalom.
No doubt, no doubt. King J.
Peace,
tell the people how you going to give me that work.
Peace to the panel, man. It's going to be a very good debate. You know, I'm excited for this debate. It's going to be a lot of good talking points. That's why I asked the brother particularly, how is he going to show, you know, Christianity in West Africa? So he said he has a remedy for that. So if he would have said Islam, I might have not would have took the debate because, you know, I would argue that a lot of those slaves came over here on the transatlantic slave trips, Islamic or, you know, Muslim, but when they got here, Christianity was forced upon them. They did even actually use it to liberate themselves. So I'll be able to show a lot of good instances of that. So y'all need to definitely tune in. Subscribe to my channel too. Right now, I got like 3 or 4 subscribers, so help build me up.
Hey, King J, real quick, what's the name of your channel?
It's literally at King J Reacts. So just. You know, I definitely would appreciate any subscribers. So, you know, I'm definitely got good information over there. So I'm posting all the little debates that I do. So,
hey, Mika or Michelle, if y'all will, put King J channel in the chat. Please subscribe to the brother. Listen, I'm trying to get to 2,000 subscribers. So anything I can do to help another brother, hey, I definitely need to do that. So put his link in the chat if you
I appreciate that.
Mika to work. Put Mika to work.
That's love. That's love. But yeah, I definitely look forward to the debate coming up soon.
All right. Sinetta, we lost Elder Yara. I was saving him for last.
Oh man, he might pop back up. Shout out to Yara, man. Good show, man. Good presentation. I don't always have to agree with y'all, but I want to say this. I can't say it enough. All you Bible thumpers out there, you Christians, you Muslims, you Hebrews, stop trying to change the word of God and leave it the way it's supposed to be. Read it the way it's supposed to be. Don't add, don't take away from it, because it got a few scriptures in the Bible where it says, if you add to this word, this is what's going to happen to you. And so we got to understand that I know it's hard, right? But once you understand that your God is a killer, God is a killer. God killed way more people than the devil in the Bible. When you look at it, when you put it together, God is the one that was the mass killer in the Bible, not the devil. That's a fact. All you gotta do is look at it, and you can ask ChatGPT, how many people did God kill? How many people did Satan kill? About 6 compared to millions. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, stop thinking that you always need to defend God. God don't need you to defend him. He is wicked, he is evil, and he is good too. He do what he want to do. Shout out to my brother Yara, man. Yara, I see this where you've been hiding that lately, brother. I'm gonna come get you. I'm gonna come get you, brother.
I ain't been over here in months, man.
Now I know where you've been hiding that, brother. I got you.
I ain't been over here in months, man.
Yeah. All right. Peace, DMG. Great show. Keep doing what you do, and make sure you keep Mika working. Put her to work, man. Keep that.
Working, man. Hey, Mika, one of the best moderators in the business, man.
All right, go ahead, brother.
Salute, my brother. Go ahead, Elder Yara. You got the last word.
Hey, no doubt. Again, shout out to you, DMG, man. I appreciate you, man, for you and your platform, man, making it available to me as always. Man, y'all support this channel. I got to send DMG some money just to support, not because he charged me to come on, but just to support, man. Shout out, support HOK. Shout out, support Sonetta as well. Support these platforms, man, the places and spaces where we have to really to voice and express our views and opinions are becoming far and few in between. So it behooves us to support the platforms that take the time out of their day to give us a place to be expressive in our own way. So it's important that we support these platforms. So shout out to both of those brothers. Shout out to Yahoo. Shout out to Gideon Israel. Shout out to all the brothers that was on the panel, and to Ben Eaton. On my closeout, you talk too much.
Oh man.
So, anytime, man, you want to see me on this clock, I ain't never hard to find, bro. You talk too much, Ben Eaton. I'm gonna make you famous because right now nobody knows you.
Hey, Ben, you heard it here, brother. Elder Yara done laid it down. If you want that smoke, man, listen. Paradigm Shift TV 314. We got the Worldview Wars Debate League. You already know what's up with the HOK. Come get this work, man. Family, we out of here. Might go live later on, but I don't know yet. But y'all seen it. We got a debate. Me and King J. And then I got a little announcement for y'all a little bit later on concerning Mandinka Molly and my brother Jose Francis. Y'all come black and check us out.
Gee.
I told y'all what to step into. I ain't disrespecting you, son. You wanted to be one way. What? You wanted to be one way. What is the other way?
Funny how everybody loved debate till the judges say they lost. Funny how everybody claim they want smoke till the scorecards come across.
My name is my name.
Everybody gangster when the verdict go their way. Taking victory laps, posting on social media all day. But let them catch an L, now the judges all corrupt. Now the rules wasn't fair, now the platform messed up. When you won, it was justice. When you lost, it was rigged. When the spotlight was on you, man, you danced a little jig.
Funny how the narrative changes overnight. You a scholar on Monday, by Tuesday ready to fight.
Y'all don't want accountability, you want applause. Want championship treatment without championship flaws. See, debate ain't about feelings, it's about evidence, argument, and skill. Sometimes you climb the mountain,
sometimes you fall down the hill. You want it to be one way,
but it's the other way.
but it's the other way.
When you win, it's all love.
When you lose, it's another day. You want it to be one way,
but it's the other way.
the same judges you praised last month ain't fair today. You want it to be one way,
but it's the other way.
the facts don't bend for feelings, no matter what you say. My name,
Yeah,
my name.
the hate got me laughing. It really tell the story. If the platform wasn't working, why they obsessed with my glory? Every week somebody got an opinion to proclaim, but they still tune in faithfully. That's free promotion of the name. Paradigm shift, TV 314 still standing, while critics in the comments keep demanding and demanding. See the infamous perspective, giving viewpoints room to breathe. The black church files digging deeper than was seen. The Kemet takeover, bringing culture to the floor. The GT perspective, asking questions they ignore. Here you get many choices. Ladies' night, giving divas voices. Different minds, different paths, different truth. Reaching the elders and the youth.
One way,
But it's the other way.
you said the platform needed you, but somehow you still stayed.
Yeah,
You wanted to be one way,
but it's the other way.
the show keeps moving forward even after people stray. You wanted to be one way,
But it's the other way.
the audience decides, not the stories that you made. My name is my
I seen debaters come and go. Some legends, some pretenders. Some became champions, some became contenders. Some accepted losses and came back even stronger. Others spent 6 months complaining and being bitter even longer. Everybody wanna run a platform. Everybody got advice, but very few know the sacrifice. Are willing to pay the price. Fight facts, challenge views, give the people real discussion. Not excuses when you lose, or whether they applaud or whether they complain. One thing remains forever.
My name is my name. You want it to be one way,
But it's the other way.